And welcome everybody to the State of the Onion, Series 3. Hopefully we'll be being joined. The link is in chat. So if anybody wants to join, there's still 4 spaces here for the moment. Just say good evening to Gio for being here. Thank you, Gio. Really appreciate that. Please remember to like, subscribe, and all that bollocks. I'm joined, as always, by an esteemed panel. We've got Brian. Hello, Brian. Welcome, welcome. We've got Little Minnow, Fabio Fame, Fabio Fame, Captive Desk, Dave, welcome, welcome, thank you. I do the Saturday night show on his channel. Please go and sub to him. I will try and put the links in down below in chat. And of course,
Hello.
Headless Chicken, welcome, Headless.
Welcome, Simons.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah, and please try not to say penis, Headless. Okay, just having that out of the way with, getting the jokes out of the way with.
You do it once.
Getting the jokes out of the way with early. We're here to do this. Well, obviously, that's the topic is written in the thumbnail. What are we doing on YouTube and why? That's the first topic, and the second topic is the great debate great? So we're going to start with what are we doing on YouTube and why. And for that, I'd like to pass it over to Dave, who is getting some success at the moment in growing his channel from a little minnow to what eventually will be a Bigfoot. So over to you, Dave.
All hail Bigfoot. Thank you, Simos. And yeah, I have a lot of enjoyable conversations when Simos joins over at Saturday Night at the Atheist, as well as when we've gotten together in other places, Joe's channel, Answers in Atheism, and that. And I always appreciate you joining us with your insight and comedy expertise. And
thank you.
Fabio
raised his eyebrows there, so yeah. He knows how much I pay my scriptwriter, right? Every week for the Formula One show. For $100 a pop, Oh. Anyway,
I do seem to have found a little bit of a niche doing the Saturday shows and having a regular thing where people know how to find me. According to my statistics, though, it's about split even between my live streams and my videos as to how I pick up subscribers. I have been doing well. About the last year, my channel really picked up. It went from just a couple hundred subs, I up to over 500. So I've done really well in the last year. I attribute it to a great community, a lot of great folks helping me out, giving me shout outs, just like Simos, go check out Dave, right? And word of mouth has seemed to be a great hand up in getting the word out about my channel. I haven't had any videos that have gone viral or anything like that. I've been on a few streams here and there, but I've never really been on what you would call the big channel where, somebody just unloaded a whole bunch of subscribers on me or anything like that. I've picked up 1 or 2. My biggest pickups are like 5 or 6. Something like that. I got started on YouTube mainly just being in the chats. I've always been a chatter. I go way back to AOL chat rooms, Yahoo chat rooms, Facebook chat rooms, and then I was in the Yahoo chats, the YouTube chats, and it just kind of came to pass that I came across somebody named Rebecca at the Bread of Life channel. And Rebecca, I was in a chat, and the topic was, why don't more atheists join this Christian stream and participate? And I made the comment that, well, because you either block us or call us demons. So Rebecca said, if you come to my channel, I won't block you and I won't call you a demon. So I said, okay. So I went over there and was hanging out with Rebecca. Rebecca is a believer. I'm an atheist. She was well aware of that. And she invited me anyways. And we had mostly some nice conversations. I met a lot of people. That's how I met Mike from Answers in Atheism, as well as some other folks over there. And she had a thing that she called the Atheist of the Month. So, because of my participation in the chat, and I try to be civil, you know, I'm not calling people names or anything like that. But, yeah. Well, eventually she blocked me and called me a demon. Yeah. So I was Atheist of the Month. And so I hopped on my phone. I didn't have a microphone or a camera or anything like that. I got on my phone, and my first time on YouTube was just hopping on my phone and being on Rebecca's channel saying, thank you for the Atheist of the Month award. And then from there, I had met some people, and one of them was Brian that was over at the Bread of Life channel. And he said, hey, I'd like to have a chat with you one day, because we were talking about miracles in one of the chats. And he said, I'd like to have a talk with you. So my first video was with Brian, and we sat down and talked about miracles, and that's how my channel got started.
I'd just like to point out that that Brian was not me.
Not you? Not you. Lots of Brians out there.
Not me. Yeah, there's plenty of Brians out there.
Well, I don't want to give away his last name in case he doesn't want to. But yeah, Brian was very nice. Leaning towards atheism, but he wasn't really denominational or anything like that. He was exploring a lot of things, and I've heard from him since. He said hi, hello, and heard that, you know, I was still on YouTube. My channel was doing better and everything. So yeah, very nice guy. And then from there, I just kind of felt my way around. You know, what am I going to do on my channel, you know? And so I made a few videos, and since I had good luck with Brian on, I went to Adam with an interview, and then I had a bunch of other people come on, just other YouTubers, and we would just sit down and talk and just kind of a get to know you type thing, friendly interviews. I've done a couple of dozen of those. Then, yeah, I kind of, you know, I was a little shy at first or whatever, and I didn't, you know, I'd never done anything broadcasting or anything like that, and I didn't know what I was doing. I had to learn everything as I went. It's been a total learning curve.
Yeah.
But yeah, hanging out with Mike and everything kind of,
Good point. Good point.
you know, brought me out a little bit, and then I started saying, hey, I can do this. So then I started hosting my own live shows.
And no, did you send Mike the link? Welcome, Mike, by the way. To chat. Well, you don't have to now. The link's up above, Mike, if you want to drop in. Tell me about how your experience on YouTube has been. Yeah, so, like, how have you found growing your channel, though? Has that been stressful for you, or you just let it happen naturally? Or
Yeah,
you've recently reached 500, which is a financial mark, because you can now receive super chats.
Yep.
And, you know, if you can give people... people can, what do they call it? Membership your channel now.
Yep. Memberships, super chats, super stickers, stuff like that. I didn't, like I said, I didn't set out to, you know, so-called, you know, blow it up big and go full time or anything like that. I was just doing it, because, well, mainly because I'm the guy that's yelling at the TV or the screen a lot, you know, and my wife and my boys often suggest, you know, you need an outlet so somebody can actually hear you, you know, and so YouTube just kind of fit that, and it gave me my opportunity to have my say. And then I also enjoy exploring a lot of things. So I look into not just the religions, but I look into UFOs and cryptids and ghost stories and all the kinds of things that interest me. I just make videos and talk about them.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
So that was my thing. It's just, I do what I like to do. I don't try to imitate anybody else. I try real hard to just be myself and do my own thing. So my channel is very expressive of my interests, and that includes posting my garden pond every now and then, because that's something I enjoy and my hobby and my Zen time.
Sure. And just as a last question to you, did you consciously choose YouTube for a reason, or did you look around at other platforms like Kick or is it Mule or Mole or whatever it's called? TikTok. Did you think about doing TikTok or Twitch, anything like that?
I think it was just the progression, going from AOL to Yahoo, and then Facebook came along, and then on Facebook, then you would have YouTube creators that were posting their stuff on Facebook. So that led me over to YouTube. So yeah, I just kind of went with the flow of where the conversations were, and that led me over to YouTube.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I guess that's going to be a similar story for quite a few of us. I mean, we all, I guess most of us met on G+, in the G+ rooms. And by a way of consequence, because that was owned by Google, we then had to have a Google account, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Is there something? Hang on. I have a question.
That was
When
it.
Simon was
Exactly.
spelled English for the video title, what loop did it drop? Thank you, Nerdy. You're not the only one to have noticed, but you're the only one to have told me so far. Thank you.
Yeah, like you said, you have to sign up for a Google account to participate, and then they give you the channel. And my channel just sat there. I didn't do anything with it. But yeah, it was because of signing up to get into the chats and the streams and everything.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I didn't go anywhere else, because I've heard a lot of things like, TikTok is real toxic and Twitter's become real toxic, so and I'm kind of in a happy medium here at YouTube, so I just kind of stayed at YouTube.
Yeah. Okay, so that's certainly one experience. I mean, you're recently growing the channel, and it's doing very well now. Hopefully, you'll go through strength to strength as long as you keep posting. Of course, remember to do shorts. That's apparently another big thing. I'll just talk about before I'm going to ask Fabio. Get ready, Fabio. We started doing a Formula One show in, I don't know, it must have been 2014 or 15, somewhere around there, I guess. 2015, was it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even remember. It was a long time ago. Yeah.
It was a long time ago, and it's never grown. Let me just say that straight off.
Yeah.
We've got a few fans. We've definitely got some fans which come back time and time again, which is great. And occasionally, one episode will blow up. Right? We get like 1,000 views or something, or 600 views or whatever. But no idea why, though. No idea why. But nonetheless, we consciously started out thinking that we didn't want to grow the channel, didn't we? That's been our thing ever since. We do this for us and nobody else. And if people like it, that's great. And some people like it for a short while, and then that's about it. Nerdy always pops by. Thank you, Nerdy. Appreciate you. But is there any? What benefits do you think that we get from doing that? Just as a personal experience.
I mean, personally, I just have fun. So, I mean, I talk about something that I like with people that I like, and yeah, I mean, it's just for fun. I mean, the thing with YouTube is that, well, if you do it because you want to do it, it's one thing. If you try to catch up, and grow your channel, I think that right now, I mean, I might be wrong because, what the fuck do I know about it? But I think it has become too much complicated, and there are too many hoops to jump, because it's basically a tool which is driven by an algorithm. I mean, you were mentioning we had some episodes where it just, we had a lot of people watching, and as you said, we couldn't figure out to save our life why.
No.
There was no rationale. And it was maybe that week, there was something in the algorithm pushing some words or whatever, and we got pushed. So it's really weird, especially at the beginning, because you might put up something which is really good and it will never catch up for reasons, unless you want to do it. But it's again, I wouldn't say it's a slippery slope. It becomes an endeavor, because you got to say, okay, I want this channel to grow. I'm not going to do what I want 100%, but I have to prioritize whatever the algorithm is pushing, or whatever it seems to be that the algorithm is working right now. So it's that kind of tool. It's not really.
Yeah. Okay. Brian, did you want to add something in there?
You just popped it up on the screen.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. Wait, say it aloud so we can hear it in the thing later. People that don't want to watch the screen.
Yeah, it was. I was just thinking about the question hanging in the air as to why you're getting these views unexpectedly, and I just thought, well, maybe it coincided with some actual racing going on somewhere.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, we usually do it the day after the race.
Yeah.
Or a couple of days after, depending on how much we can be bothered. Also, my own feeling was like I every now and again I'd see a video of someone saying, this is how you garner views, and they'd say, right, it's all about hashtags. This was the first thing, but many years ago now. So I religiously put F1, hashtag 1, hashtag formula, hashtag, whatever, this, that, and the other. And I put loads of hashtags in there. And it didn't really do much, right? We did a show with Vito once, and we had like 1,000 concurrent viewers live. I don't know how that happened. I've no idea. He must have put it to someone, but there we go. Let me just, hang on a minute. What's going on here? Sorry. Anyway, yeah. So, I don't know. There is somebody joined, but I can't see them. There it is. Oh no. Answers in Atheism. Kick from studio. No. Oh damn. I'm trying to get to you. I'm trying to get to you, Dave. Trying to get to you, Mike. Oh, here it is. Got it. There we go. Yeah. So, I never really worked out why. Then I saw another thing saying, "Oh, YouTube, you can put in any random hashtags, and that helps as well." So I would then go in and I would see whatever the top trending tags were, and I'd put all of those in, and that worked for a little while, but then soon dipped off again. And then I would go through the analytics, which is one of the really good things about YouTube is the analytics. There's plenty of information there if you do want to grow your channel to be able to, understand what's going on. So that helps, obviously, if you want to go through it all. But like I said, Fabio and I decided that probably not such a good thing to chase views, because we'd only get bored with it, or we'd get stressed out by it or something. So we ended up not bothering so much. But of course, there are people, and a good example is, hang on a second, you're saying, Nerdy says, I used to run a Formula One website, and when anybody crashed, I knew I needed extra service to start up. Yeah, fair enough. In the old days, there must have been a lot of those. You'd love Lucky on your website, by the way. He loves a good crash. Mike does well on YouTube, but we are going to get Mike's thing. And there you go. Streaks through chat. Welcome, MathPig. Welcome. Anyway, so yeah, that's kind of one of the experiences. It's really difficult to tell what's going to blow up and what isn't. And that is another point which we will make as well. But like, there's a guy I'm playing with in DayZ at the moment who has a lot, and I say a lot, of subscribers, who's doing very well. And of course, for him, getting more subscribers becomes a little bit easier. Fabio, do you want to just talk about that quickly while I sort something out backstage?
Well, I mean, I just want to get back to a point you said. We made as stupid as it might sound, we just made the decision not to care about growing the channel, and I think that's the only, well, at least for me, it's the only reason why I've been able to do this, for about 10 years, because it's not a job, right? I mean, you just do it for fun. And that's pretty much it. There is a process on YouTube where the bigger you get, the bigger you get, because you get more views, you are exposed to way more people. So I think there is a cliff where if you can manage to jump over that cliff, or to overtake that cliff, growing easily is easier, yeah. And of course, I mean, there is good old drama. You can set up some kind of drama that will help, But again, it gets back to the point why you do that. I mean, maximum respect to anybody which wants to really grow the channel because they feel they have something to say and they're willing to do things in order to grow the channel, as just means justifying the ends thing. I guess it's up to anybody to decide what they want to do, really. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, recently I've been looking at YouTube, and the only things I watch are car getting on fire and people getting punched in the face. That's the thing which I just have fun when we watch it. So.
Fair enough. Yeah, it makes a change from cats driving cars into fire stations, doesn't it? But,
Yeah.
There you go. I'm just saying.
That
was a thing.
Yeah,
welcome, Mike.
Those are always highly entertaining, though. Cats driving fire trucks into burning
Buildings,
shops, precincts, malls, anywhere, really.
Why not? Mike, how are you? Because you've been I don't know, your channel has been going for a few years now as well, and I believe I think it was last year or the year before that, you had quite a lot of success with the open panel chats, didn't you?
Well, how do you define success?
Well, I mean,
25 to 30 maybe people watching, that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's a success for us. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, we're at 15 now, so it's twice as successful as us right now.
Yeah.
And look, we got Dying Sun says, "In love, Mike." Thank you very much.
Wow.
Nerdy, of course, says, "Down with cats."
So is there somebody named Mike in here besides me?
No, that's you.
Wow.
Our
my
Dying
God.
Sun. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been doing this about 4 or 5 years, and I growing, I think, really slowly, like 740 subs or 746. Can't get over that 1,000. And and there's a wanting interest, and I guess I got into this watching like Non Sequitur show and then the Atheist Experience, and I was interested in consciousness, and then I found out about young Earth creationists, and I was screaming at the screen, so I wanted to get involved. So I started going down to Austin, Texas, and to the Bat Cruise, meeting people down there, Delonte and all that, Radar and Raw, and it's really sick, but I have an opinion, and I want people to hear my opinion, right? instead of just screaming at the screen, I kind of want to get it out there. And I'm old, so I think I want to die pretty quick. So I'd kind of like to get some shit written down or put out there. And it became really important. But then I found this community and like all you guys, and it's like that was a bonus I never expected to have so many friends, but it is frustrating. I kind of deserve it though, because I don't work at my channel. I had a talk today with Kentucky Atheist about what I could do in order to work at my channel and actually make a few bucks, enough to pay for StreamYard and all that garbage, So I don't know. So what was the question?
That was the question. Thank you.
That was the question. Okay.
That was the question. Just the kind of how you feel about it. Why did you join YouTube? Was that a conscious decision, or that was just the convenience thing?
Yeah. Getting out there and talking to people about philosophy and talking about science and all of that is something that I really enjoy and I'm really passionate about. And I sit around and I study a lot. And when I do, it's like, why am I doing it? It's kind of nice to have some goal in mind, about what you're doing it for. I'm not doing it for a career, obviously. So what it is to help to educate others and become more educated myself, and kind of give it away. So I don't know. It's kind of what I want.
Yeah, I mean, personally, for me, I did it as a record. I think I just wanted a record of the thing Fabio and I were talking about.
Bingo.
And that way, either when I finish and I can't do it anymore, I may be able to look at a screen and go back over some of them and go, oh yeah, that was a good episode, wasn't it? Or something like that. Whatever. Maybe do that over it, or the people that are left behind can look at, like I can, like at my wake or something like that. I'll make everybody watch all 150 episodes of Fabio and Funk.
Oh, that'd be good. That would be a fun funeral. If I could go back and watch 100 videos that my dad made, where he talked about himself and talked about his life, my God, that would be a dream. And my kids are going to be able to do that.
Right.
So I'm putting this down. I think that's pretty cool. So
my boys show up in the chats every once in a while, and it's like, hey, my kid's watching. That's really cool. And I was going to say another reason I make some of my videos is for reference, because us old timers, some of these things we're just getting a little tired of answering over and over and over and over. So I've answered it in a video. So if you want to see my answer, you can watch the video, and it saves me, repeating it again, right? There it is. There's my answer, right?
Yeah.
If I could just butt in for a second.
Please do.
I was just, it was just something you just said there, Dave, that made me chuckle. When you sort of referred to yourself as like old timers, and discussing strategies for growing and existing on this platform now. And I'm thinking back, I was saying exactly the same thing 15 years ago.
I've been pulling the age card lately. I think I've earned it.
I don't know how old we are yet, but once we hit 60, there's a certain gravitas that we have.
Yeah, I'm almost 60.
Oh, you're almost.
I'll be 59 in a couple months.
That's close enough.
Pretty close.
Yeah, that's close enough. Youngsters.
Yeah,
I think I'm the oldest one I know on YouTube.
Okay,
certainly the oldest one.
Well, and it's nothing against young people. Okay, there's a lot of brilliant young people I talk to. Leo and Grayson and a lot of these folks. Brilliant young people, okay? However, they don't try to talk down to me. You know what I mean? I pull the, hey, have a little respect for my 60 years, we can, I don't like the, grandpa don't know anything. And it's like, we know things, we know different things, but we know things, and I always appreciated conversations with my grandfather and stuff, you know, telling me things. You know, there's wisdom in things, even if some of the stuff is outdated, you know.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah,
so
sure
enough of the old timer talk.
And get off my lawn.
Hang on, enough of the old timer talk. There will be gold in them hills. Savage, Minnow, are you there, babe?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah. Okay, over to you. Because like, what's your you know, why are you on YouTube and why do you post? What do you find good about YouTube? What do you find bad?
Well, that was one of the things that I said in chat is the question, why do we have a YouTube account or why do we post on YouTube? Because for me, they are very different answers. I originally actually started my YouTube account because I had friends who were from all around the world, and in particular, friends who were deaf. And it was, at the time, it was the easiest way to sort of send messages in ASL and sign language, was to just take a video and post it on YouTube. And like, you had to have a Google account in order to do that. So that was kind of like how you guys were saying, like G+ kind of brought you here by, you know, default, same kind of thing. I had originally like started streaming on YouTube. I think, well, I'm sure most of you guys remember Diana. I met her like early days on YouTube. It was like when she, I think, had made the switch over to YouTube was kind of when I met her. And I was just like so inspired by her. And I kind of, at the time I was in a not great marriage. And I had like a lot of thoughts and stuff that I was thinking about and that I wanted to like sort of talk about. And I think somebody else was saying about like how like their spouse like didn't want to freaking hear what they had to talk about. And I was kind of in the same boat where it was like, okay, well, you know, like maybe I'll get on and stream. I did switch over to Twitch relatively early because actually like at the time monetization was so much easier over there. And I wasn't making a ton. I was making like, I think I probably maxed out at like $25 a month that I was making, but it was like somebody was saying like, it was enough to cover StreamYard. It was enough to cover like all of the little kind of incidentals, like the costs that sort of pop up with streaming. Where I went wrong with it was I did kind of get to where I was like thinking about, okay, analytics and how do I like grow my channel, and like started really sort of thinking about that. Like when I think about like early days and stuff, like Matic, who's in the chat here, like he and I had like a game show that like we did, and it was just like fun, like goofy silliness, and like there was no reason for it other than like just having fun. But like once it got to like where I was thinking about, and we won't mention he who must not be named, but he brought me in on a stream, and I got a bunch of like followers from that, and I realized at that time that it was like I had to be posting videos that I didn't really want to be posting in order to just be hitting the algorithm and like checking all the boxes and like doing the little dance. And I got burnt out, and like I was just like, I can't do this. And like hats off to like people who are like professional creators on here, because like it doesn't seem like it would be a lot of work just to like go on a self-broadcast website and post a video pretty regularly, but like, oh my gosh, it is like, it is such a mental toll. And I don't think that it is physically a lot of work, you know, but my hat's off to like people who can do that regularly, because like I just can't. But yeah, that's me.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so just a couple of things that I'd like to just quickly talk about and what people feel about it, which is firstly, this point about the advantage of YouTube over the other platforms. I think the biggest advantage for me that I've noticed is the search engine. Google has a great search engine. Anytime you put into Google, which is, of course, as we know, the biggest search engine there is, of course, the first thing that pops up are YouTube videos, because they own YouTube as well. So that is one huge advantage to being on YouTube right now. Has anybody found, and I think that possibly explains, Fabio, why we've occasionally got a lot of views for particular shows. I think maybe because the thumbnail's been particularly good or something like that. And Google has just decided, yeah, that's the time. Let's see if their channel goes somewhere, and decided to put us in their listing for Formula One stuff. So people have just clicked on it. So that's cool. And then what the other point, Fabio? Do you want to just say about the other point? Matthew thing.
The other point of the of the title, the thing.
No, the Matthew something. What did you call it?
No, I mean, yeah, it's I just went, passing by. There is a principle that says basically the richer get richer and the poorer get poorer. And that's I think it's called the Matthew principle or something like that. So that I think applies, a lot on YouTube. So as I said, it seems to me that there is kind of a cliff that once you manage to go over that, you get, your numbers, subscribers, your views, you're way more indexed by the algorithm. Everything becomes a little bit easier. Now, there is a thing that I think we forgot to say, that we are talking among, a bunch of people that probably except me and you, Simos, for the show that we do, we all deal with kind of a particular niche, of conversation and topic and whatever. That might, make things a little bit harder, for Mike, for example, or for Dave, to get views, because you're not shooting. You're not kind of a channel that wants views, and you follow whatever is happening right now. You might have some interesting topics. It's all way more specific. So the audience is restricted. There is quite some competition into that. So things might get a little bit more difficult, that might answer some of the doubts that, some of the questions that Mike had before, or stuff like that.
Yeah, okay. And it certainly seems that way. Like, obviously we have a good friend in our community that started out with just a normal channel like everybody else. And he found a niche. Of course, I'm talking about Nate the Lawyer. He found his niche, and of course, he's done incredibly well since. I can't remember the last tally I looked. He was over 600,000 subscribers. So that is, of course, amazing.
Someone else who's done really well.
Go ahead.
But it's different, because Nate is not restricted, by the topic. He has a peculiar point of view on any topic that he wants to go after. So if there is something popping up, on the news or whatever, and there is the news of the day, whatever, he can go after that topic from his particular point of view. So yeah, I would say it is a niche in the way that people who follow him, they follow him because they want to hear his point of view on that particular topic. But he can shoot everywhere,
Yeah, but Nate's an interesting one, because his rise, shall we call it that, coincided with the LawTube genre taking off in a big way. And Nate was one of those riding that wave all the way into the beach.
Absolutely, yeah. In some sense, he also created the genre.
He was actually one of the pioneers of that genre.
And he told me, and he told me once that he basically had like an epiphany, because one of his videos went viral, and then he knew where to go. He was searching around. He knew he was doing the law thing, of course, because he's Nate the Lawyer. But he didn't know about the topics, like Fabio was saying. He was just shooting around anywhere. And then he found that one of the videos that he did, I think it was the lawsuit of the women's American football team.
Was it that, or was it, or was it the Johnny Depp case?
No, it was the American football team, women's American football team. The court, they took took the whoever it was, their people that they worked for, to court for equal pay. And Nate did a couple of videos on that. And that, I mean, he did some before that were quite big, but that was the big one that blew up, you know.
Oh
So,
yes, it was the one that. Yes, I remember now. It was the one that that actually did the math and demonstrated that by asking for equal pay, they were actually wanting less than they were getting.
well, yeah, they were already getting more
Yeah.
than the other people. That
Yeah,
was-
they were actually getting paid
more
pound
than
for
the men,
pound, a
yeah.
lot more than the men were. Yeah.
Yeah, I know a lot, but it was more then. Anyway, that's the one that blew up, and then because of that, he found the niche or the format by which he could then move on and do the same thing to other things. The Johnny Depp trial was obviously a big one as well because that was live, so that gave him a lot more on things. And I remember, I'm a mod on the channel, and I remember looking at it, and I think at one point he had like 15,000 live viewers, which is just huge, right?
Yeah,
Absolutely
that's
huge.
phenomenal. That's
So
phenomenal.
you know, once you get that format tied in, you can just kind of rinse repeat the same format, and that's something which, like Fabio and I, just went, nah, that was too much work, far too much work. And like you said, here we are 10 years later, and I don't know about you, Fabio, but I still enjoy doing the show as much as I did when we first started.
I said before, I think that the only reason I keep doing this is because we just do it for us, you know, for fun.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
And you're
What about you?
having fun. That's the thing, hanging out with you guys. And you know, my face hurts a lot of times doing Saturday Night at the Atheist. You know, we're having a good time, we're having laughs, you know. And yeah, if you're not having fun, then you better be, you know, making some money or something. Otherwise,
right.
you should probably step back. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I'm totally with you. You know, it becomes a problem. It also becomes a problem of how much effort you put in something and what is the return. You know what I mean? So, is it worth the effort? Right? You know, so it would have meant, you know, for me and Simon to make the decision. Okay, if we want to do it seriously, we got to put on hold for what 4, 5, 6 months, whatever the hell we are doing, you know, to sustain ourselves and gamble on that, and then it becomes a job. Hold on a second, I already got a job, so I don't need this job. So.
Yeah. And like a lot of
And you
people
know,
have said to
and
me-
with a lot of the stuff,
Sorry, go ahead, Dave. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, with a lot of the stuff I talk about, I talk about it as a regular guy because I'm just a regular guy. You know, I'm not a scientist or anything like that. You know, so if I need information, I go to people like Mike over here that knows a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? And Mike fills in the details. And okay, thanks, Mike. Right? But I don't try to, you know, prop myself up as the smart guy or anything like that. I say all the time, you know, I'm a regular Joe. I've got a wife and 2.5 kids and 2.5 dogs. So, you know what I mean? I'm a working man, you know. So yeah, I just want to talk with regular folks in regular language, and hopefully, you know, some of the things Mike explains really well, that you can reach folks with some regular language, you know, that otherwise would be lost if the scientist is up there talking, right?
Yeah, I'm a smart ass, a professional smart ass. But yeah, I love when somebody says, "Wow, you explained that, and I understand it." I mean, that's so cool to be able to put something about evolution or genetics in that people normally miss or don't hear about. To put it in terms that people can understand, that makes all of this shit worthwhile for me. So, yep.
Yeah, says Nerdy says Mike does the best drawings.
Oh yeah, drawings are
Carbon.
so horrible.
Carbon has
Oh,
4
yeah.
things apparently.
His artwork is awesome.
It's
So-
horrible.
Yeah. So I mean, that's some of it, right? That's some of it. We've all got different reasons, is what I'm getting
Yeah.
for being on YouTube, and the fact it's so flexible, I think, is what makes it a great platform. over other social media platforms. Certainly, I've noticed in my gaming things, because again, like people have said, you just get your channel and you concentrate on the one thing, and that will get you more and more viewers because they'll keep going back to the one thing. Another reason I love YouTube is that I don't give a monkeys about that, of course. So I'm able to post 3 different computer games. I can do the philosophy stuff on this if I want to, and then I can also do the Formula One all on the same channel. And people will still they'll hit the like button and then click off if they're not interested. And people are discerning enough to be able to choose for themselves what they want. Brilliant thing about YouTube is there's plenty of variation for everybody to find what they want. All they need to do is have a bit of patience, right? And wade through maybe some of them up.
My catchphrase has worked really well for me too, saying "All hail Bigfoot." It's caught on, and a lot of people in the chats will say, "Hey, Dave, all hail Bigfoot," right? And then other people will say, "Wait, all hail Bigfoot," and then it leads to conversations, and then it's like, "Well, yeah, come over and check out my channel," right? So a lot of just like so-called word of mouth works really well. If you just say hey to people and socialize a little bit, and they'll say, "Oh yeah, hey Dave," and then just mentioning you, other people will say, "Oh, what, Dave does a channel? Oh yeah, Dave's got a channel." You know what I mean? Yeah. So if you do the rounds in the socials, it does you a lot of good too.
I captured a Bigfoot once.
Did you really?
Yeah, I did. It's in my
let him go
in my Satan Jr. persona. It was quite easy. I just reached into the screen and plucked him out. Oops.
I thought you were talking about
that was quite a fun
as long
video
as you put him
to
back.
do. Yeah, I did, obviously, yeah. But it was a fun video to do.
I almost caught a Bigfoot once. In the end, I just tripped up the postman. I didn't quite catch him. But anyway, that's another $100, Fabio. Oh dear.
And that's fun too. We're talking about Bigfoot and stuff. It's fun. How can you not have fun talking about Bigfoot?
Right.
So, I love talking about that kind of stuff because it's just fun to talk about.
Speaking of that, I put in Answers in Atheism link in the comment section, or the whatever it is, description section of the video. And
can you put links for the other people here, because I'm not familiar with all of you?
I've got Dave as well. Yeah.
In the description.
I'll put mine in the side chat for you.
Yeah, please.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Sorry, what did you say, Savage?
I just said in the description is how I described that.
Okay, thank you very much. I always put the small Bigfoot back. Yeah. You don't want to take them out when they're too young or too small.
Yeah.
Q, do you want to give us another viewpoint from YouTube, how you got on it, what you find really good about it over other social media?
So
or not?
Yeah. When I started a channel forever ago, and then it got into a bunch of stupid drama, so I deleted it. And then I made the Ginger Nation channel. What I wanted to do is just basically be somebody, if they're feeling alone, they find my channel, they could just come over and vibe. Then it got back into some drama, and now it's just me playing like fucking Destiny 2. It's just the thing that I like about YouTube is just all the people that I've met throughout me being here, and kind of like the little community that I've made for myself, because that's like, at the end of the day, that's what I'm here for. I'm not really here for like 100 views or even 5. Like if there's just like 3 people in the chat and we're all talking, it's cool with me.
You like the social interaction aspect of it?
Yeah,
that's fun too.
I make a joke a lot, but like being autistic is not fun a lot of the time, and making friends in like real social situations is a pain in the ass. So like just being able to kind of separate a little bit, it's easier for me to like start talking to people a bit better. And that's another thing that I learned, was how to communicate with people through YouTube.
I totally
Cool.
agree.
That's
As
what I
a
was just going to ask, if it was easier for you. Yeah.
as an autistic person, yeah,
Go ahead,
like
Bill.
it's like adding like the camera there, or like knowing that like, okay, like I can always dip out at any time and I'm like back in my safe space in my house by myself, like that kind of shit is like, to me, makes a big difference.
Oh yeah, like it. At the end of the day, like, I make shit tier content. Like I just do whatever I'm feeling like doing. There's not really like a goal in mind. Like right now I'm working on a show for like people who have gone through drug recovery or an addiction recovery of some kind. Because like I'm a recovering addict, and I know one of the hardest things to deal with as an addict is being alone. So other people can come in and talk about their experience. We get people in the chat that, if they're going through shit like that, they can hear advice that we've all had. Just that kind of thing. Because like I know YouTube is a lot of things, but like the thing that I like to watch a lot is how YouTube can help other people or like bring people closer. And that's like the biggest goal for me on here.
Technology really is the great leveler, isn't it? I mean, back in the 90s when I got hit with my ME for the first time and was isolated, if it hadn't have been for the early internet, I really would have gone crazy, because I would not have had access to my social circle. But because my social circle was online anyway, because of my trade, absolutely compensated for it. And it's the same today. The only difference is that the technology's moved on to the point whereby it can handle all the various nuances that it needs to handle in order to, as I said before, level the playing field. Yeah. I mean, Q, you were saying about how YouTube has enabled you, through the technology to be able to, as I understood it, put communicating with people into a box, hypothetical box, conceptual box, that you can then deal with it. Yeah. As opposed to it being this overwhelming, undefinable thing that you just can't deal with because you can't process it.
Yeah, like,
have I ever got that?
Yeah, like one of the things that like I'm still doing, like right now I've got a bunch of people that make music, and I talk to them on a regular basis because like I make music myself.
Nice.
And I posted my first ever like freestyle on YouTube on my channel, and it got way more reception that on here than it did anywhere else. And that's because like I went to everyone I knew. I was just like, hey, check this out. And then it brought new people in, and like it felt fucking great because like, not gonna lie, performing in front of a bunch of people sucks ass. But like when I can upload a performance or me recording something, it's the best feeling in the fucking world. And I didn't do it because like, oh, I think this is gonna make me famous. I just did it because fuck it, why not?
Did it come back to the F word?
The F word?
Fun.
Yeah, no, I did YouTube for a little bit when it was over exhausting because I was just like, fuck it, I'm gonna get as many views as I can, and I kept doing it and doing it and doing it like every day, and it burnt the fuck out.
Yeah, you burned out. Yeah.
But I did that for a while.
I think that's kind of what it, from what I've been hearing, just listening to everybody talking about their experiences, and it's the one thing that rings true with my experience. I mean, I've never broken that 1,000 subscribers mark either. I don't think I ever will. I don't make that sort of content. But what I do is I have fun with it. I've done these all night talk shows back in the day, like the Friday Fail. Yeah. That was a lot of fun to do. You remember those, don't you, Fabio? The Friday Fails?
Yeah.
And I know you do, Simon, and Headless.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Friday
Headless.
Fail. A lot of fun.
Yes, Simos.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
Sorry, sorry, Brian. I just wanted to. We're going to finish up with the YouTube thing because we're going an hour on the YouTube thing.
Yeah,
we got
I
most of the points out of the way.
was
Go ahead.
segueing. I was going to segue into the great debate and
Well,
the origin
before we do-
story that you wanted me to catch.
Yeah. Before we do, that's why I'm stopping
Oh,
you.
okay. All right.
I just want to hear from Headless because Headless has a unique perspective. I feel
Yeah.
in that
He does.
he's the old guard, right? He's been around.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how many years before I was around. You were around, sure.
Blog TV days.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes, Blog TV.
Early
Aha.
Magic Sandwich Show days.
But I've never seen you like a producer show or try and
Nope.
boost your channel or any of that.
I have a
You t-
YouTube channel. I've got 11 subs. They're very loyal. None of them have ever left. I've never been blocked, and I've never had a video flagged.
Right, brilliant. But your
I have
particular,
0 videos on my channel.
but your particular video is from that of a viewer, right? So that's why I'm saying
Yeah.
you're unique. Maybe Fabio. Oh no, he uploads occasionally. So why are you still engaged with YouTube after all this time?
It's television.
It's television.
Yeah.
There it is. Yeah, there it is. And it's
Remember
cheaper than
YouTube?
television.
Remember YouTube's old motto was broadcast yourself?
Yeah.
Well, who are you broadcasting to but viewers?
Mm.
Okay? It's television.
It's
Like
television. for you.
I'll bring it up, and I'm not going to talk about he who shall not be named. So I'll talk about 2 other people that we're very familiar with, and that is Rev and Shani. Their whole drama that they go through, you can't script that.
Actually, I want to interject.
When they were
You-
driving from Colorado to PA, and they got off the highway and got on the railroad
God,
track,
yeah.
you cannot script
Oh yeah,
any of that. Okay,
I remember that.
no amount of reality TV or situational comedy will ever come up with something like that. Okay.
Yeah.
So sorry, just quick. YouTube is not television. YouTube
no, but I'm
is
saying it's like television.
no.
Well, it talks back.
YouTube is the worst part of what television is.
Oh,
It's snippets. It's things that are short for people with the attention span of a goldfish. It's perfect. You know, it's that thing. People around here, they know how hard it is to make shows that last more than 20 minutes and have
Oh,
people
yeah.
engaged to that.
Yeah.
So it's I mean, I understand what you say when you say it's television. It's the shitty television.
Yeah.
It's the
That-
compulsory, remote control, changing channel. What the fuck is there? Oh, it's Big Brother. Oh yeah, let's punch him in the face.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a fire. There's a car crash. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's the drama. That's the drama side of YouTube.
yeah.
And like, there used to be. Hang on. There used to be a thing back in the day where we used to call them drama channels, right? Because they were clearly just going after views, right?
Yeah.
And
But
we
it's
know.
it's the old formula: drama equals views, and views equal money.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, it didn't back then. Of course, it was literally just for attention.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, back
nonetheless,
then views was the currency, not cash. And then they
Yeah,
went and allowed ad revenue sharing, and then it all changed.
yeah.
but
Welcome,
that-
James. By the way.
Well, thank
that's
you.
Why, that's why it is so funny, and to me at least, when I hear people say, "Oh, yeah, YouTube is is kind of it's a place where you can have free speech." No, you don't. I mean, it's the
No.
social media are the opposite of free speech. The speech there, it's driven specifically in order for people to have views on certain topics. So it's not free speech. Forget about that shit. It's just, it's entertainment.
Yeah, but what's different about it is it's than TV is it when you yell at YouTube, it yells back. People hear you and yell
Yeah,
back at you.
I was about to say, welcome to the TV that bites back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
bites
Faith,
back.
if I could just take a moment, Faith. Unsub by all means if it's not for you. this is an open panel, and we're just talking about a whole load of random things, including history of our community as a whole, and whether anybody likes it or not. The drama was a big part of our community 10 years ago, as you know. And some of us don't want it on our channel. Some of us do. Some of us thrive on it, right? And obviously, so and we're going to go on to talk about some of the channels that do. Probably.
Actually, Simon, I'll even say this: some people even tried to create drama, and they got burned very, very hard by it.
Yeah.
Because you cannot
Remember that
Some have it thrust upon them.
Yeah, it just needs to exist and be organic. Now you can feed it, you can water it, but you cannot create it.
Yeah, in some ways, I guess. I mean, obviously, we'll go on to talk about it when we get to the next part of the show, because I think the drama side comes up under the Great Debate more than it comes up under just YouTube alone.
Yeah.
However, it used to be a way to get your channel bigger, and he who shall not be mentioned, of course, used to rely on it quite a lot as well. So as well as buying his subs, of course.
Yes, whilst denying every second of it.
Yeah, that used to be another way of doing it. James, do you want to say something on YouTube, on the YouTube topic?
Well, first I only joined because I heard this is like TV, and I want to be famous, superstar. And the other thing I was going to say is, to make a drama pie from scratch, you must first invent the universe.
Okay.
Nice Sagan quote. Yes.
Yeah. That's fine. Your channel. Why are you on YouTube? Do you want to say anything about your channel?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
I have no fucking idea why I'm on YouTube.
Okay.
I don't even know. I ask myself.
I'm trying to figure it out.
Why am I doing this? It feels my peace. You know, I hedge between whether or not I'm doing any good in the world and whether or not I'm just feeding the angst machine, the anger, the anxiety, right, to talk about the issues that matter. Am I helping? Am I hurting? I have no idea. So I'm just.
That was the most honest fucking answer ever, dude. I respect the fuck out of that one.
Okay.
Beautiful. Okay. Okay. So, I'd like to say,
I answer the question now.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so what am I doing on YouTube and why? Well, I opened my channel back in 2009, something like that. The idea was to publish music, which I never got around to doing, and then there was the whole "not in my name" controversy, where NATO did something that was kind of outrageous to human rights. It was 2010, and then I just got sucked into the Great Debate. But what am I doing now? Not a lot. I just post videos for fun. That's all I've ever done, is post for fun. If I'm not enjoying it, then I'm not posting it. As simple as that. But I do enjoy these get-togethers, and it really is the community aspects. You know, the social meeting of minds, the actual ability to discuss things to whatever depth and lengths is pertinent at the time and participants. So yeah, and why? Purely and simply because TV is shit. Simple as that. TV is shit. So I actually disagree. This is not TV. This is the next level of entertainment. This is interactive entertainment. This is where you get to actually interact with the content creators that you watch, or rather, at least those that don't fall up their own arse so far that they lose contact with where they came from. And why? Because it's fun. Simple as that.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's my answer. That's what I'm doing and why.
Savage. I call you Savage, and I know that might be not the thing, but I'm just habit, I'm afraid. Break it. Sweetness. What do you? You wanted to add something as well, because you objected to the TV comment as well. Why do you think it's not TV?
Well, because you don't interact with TV. You don't. I also think that it is. It's sort of like this might be a uniquely American thing, but like when I was in high school, we had like a local public access channel that like we would like make shows for, and it's very similar to that. And especially like early YouTube was like people were posting. I mean, what was the first YouTube video? It was like a day at the zoo or something. It was just like less than 5 minutes of a guy being like, "Here's an elephant," and like. That was entertaining to us. That still is entertaining to us in a lot of ways. There's so much stuff that's posted on YouTube that would never make it on television, like never in a million years. And like we get to see it because of YouTube. And I think isn't that like how YouTube got like big, was like what's her face showed her tit at the Super Bowl, and like they wouldn't show that on TV, but they'd show it on YouTube. So like everybody flocked to YouTube to see Janet Jackson's tit. You know,
That's our legacy.
And Justin Bieber.
Yeah,
for some reason.
something like that. I don't remember, but yeah.
Yeah,
But
sure. I mean, personally, for me, I got on YouTube and I started because I like Mike. I like back then, not so much anymore. Back then, I used to really like learning, and I found on YouTube video after video after video of university lectures.
Yep.
Yeah. And I would sit and devour these things. Like, I don't know how many physics courses I've done, chemistry courses, history up the wazoo.
Yeah.
So much so I've forgotten it all. And when I eventually got through most of that, I used to sit and play poker and put a video on, just to while the hour was away. And eventually I realized I wasn't learning anything from these lectures when I was playing poker. So I started putting on things like Atheist Experience and,
you still
other
haven't
things.
learned anything while playing
And
poker.
I still haven't learned anything, no, but obviously. But nonetheless, I've enjoyed it. And once I started doing that, it then started recommending more videos. Again, that algorithm, I think the algorithm's amazing on YouTube, although it's very manipulative in these later days. But back then, it used to genuinely try and give you stuff that it thought you'd want. So, it started.
You have to work the algorithm, yeah.
Yeah, it started suggesting stuff to me, and I started watching it. And eventually, I saw the word live come up by a stream in the site, and I thought, live, I won't have to keep clicking on it while I'm playing poker. So, yeah, all right, fair enough. So I clicked on that, and that was Nadia's. And then I saw in Nadia's this little thing, there was a link, and I thought, I can go in. Oh, that's amazing. So I clicked on G+, got the account and went in. And that's when I got exposed to the community. And that's when the whole thing took off, because I met Fabio, Brian, lots of people in that particular community. I wasn't in, obviously, early like Brojo and Serb and Brian and Fabio and that lot. But early days, Brian, of that community, how did that fare? What was the sort of early progression of the new community? And I'm begging you to tell me the story about how it changed over and how it got its name.
Yeah, well, basically, when I fell into the community, back in 2010, it was old school YouTube, and basically what we had was an ecosystem where somebody would make a video, and then somebody else would make another video and post it as a response to that video. And just as we're all used to the text threads that you find in forums and other, chat platforms, you ended up with this ecosystem of video threads. And within this ecosystem, the Great Debate, which is kind of like an unofficial name that the theology to God or not to God debate has kind of always had. I remember it referred to as the Great Debate when I was at school. This is going back when I was 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, that sort of age, which is early 70s. And yeah, the Great Debate was on various aspects of theology. answering the big questions of the universe. And so, yeah, when one of the participants, who was actually quite prolific at posting response videos to others, another Michael by the channel name of Agent of Doubt, who I'm sure will be watching this at some point. He actually coined this little ecosystem within YouTube, the Great Debate Community, when he started doing a roundup of all sorts of statistics, and you'd have to go to his channel, Agent of Doubt, go through his back catalogue, some of his really old stuff. But yeah, and that is where the Great Debate Community originated. When they killed off the lever response ability, threading ability from videos, YouTube changed quite considerably, as it did when they monetized it, and then there was the adpocalypse, and then people suddenly developed this mentality of, I'm putting my opinion on YouTube. You owe me money to listen to that opinion. When that became de rigueur, it was like, okay, yeah, some people are going to turn this into work, and it did. It turned into work, and then G+ happened. And there was a rebellion and a schism and another rebellion, and then a reversion to, you know what? Yeah, let's just go back to YouTube and do what we do and have fun and interact with people and just do this sort of shit. And here we are. Is the Great Debate great? For me personally, I think it is a great tool. It passes the muster of being great in a number of aspects. There's always something to talk about. You can always find somebody to engage your idea, whether they agree with it or not. There is always stuff to do, like, looking into the history of something, an idea, looking into the mechanics of it, the mathematics of it, the logic of it, the historicity of it, the archaeology of it, the genetics of it, the whatever of it. And it just spreads. I mean, it's just spreads across more or less all topics, because we're talking about the things that we observe, the what, why, when, and where and how of it all. So is it a great debate? Yes, it's great. It's grand in scale. It's great in potential and opportunities. And I'll fight anybody who dares to say different.
Okay, let's start that fight. No,
there you go.
Okay, so from what I gather, that started as the Great Debate started really as a video response kind of platform, really, back then, before.
Basically,
and then
people doing what they do, but within this infrastructure that actually hooked the videos together into a string. Now you just have to rely on the algorithm.
Yeah. Now and then from there it moved on to, still unmonetized, of course, at this point. And then from there, it moved on to the Great or G+, which allowed these 10-man hangouts, right? And then we'd all get into a room and start squabbling. And of course,
wait a minute, Simus. Back when what Brian was talking about, that was the Blog TV days, and we used to use Skype.
Blog TV.
And then broadcast it through Blog TV, and then that would be put onto YouTube. So yes, you could have a 10-person debate.
I forgot the Blog TV.
Extra steps.
My bad.
Okay.
Thank you, Headless. Thank you. I'd forgotten the Blog TV stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. And then later, the G+ thing happened.
Then later for G+.
I want to get to G+.
Far easier.
I want to get to G Plus because there's several things that happened on G Plus which are quite unique, to that period. But nonetheless,
Yeah, well,
as,
that was when YouTube Live kind of took over from Blog TV, and then you had the gamers going over to Twitch and starting that off, and yeah, it's difficult times. Gamergate and the whole SJW thing. It was very muddy, murky times.
sure.
There's about 30 channels named. There's about 30 channels named The Great Debate.
It doesn't surprise me.
Absolutely not surprised.
I'm subscribed to Great Debate Community. Yeah.
I just as a point, he will not be mentioned, said that he had a channel called The Great Debate and nobody else could use that title. Oh, hilarious. Hilarious. Anyway.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Anyway, so we were on G Plus, and that's where a lot of both sides of the community, because one of the things about the debate is it needed both sides, right? Otherwise, you couldn't have a debate. You just sit there in an echo chamber, as it was later, as we called it, and it's known as. So one of the good things about some of these channels is that they fostered an open platform, so you could get both sides of the coming in together. And in fact, that's why I think, and I have to say, and again, Nadia's channel was both popular and unpopular at the same time, right? Simply because, she managed to have these circles. You could invite people in circles. She had a big circle of 5,000 people. Then into that was split theists, agnostics, and atheists. And she'd send out the links to the theists first, so all the theists would jump in, and then like bait in the water, she'd send out the link to the atheists, and the atheists would go, "Oh, great! So we can go kick some theist ass," and then all the theists would jump in and have a massive squabble. And of course, I'm talking some classics. And then in the middle of all of that, G-Man would turn up and go, "All right, Nadia, I'm going to get you 100 views." Like, oh my God. And you get like 3 extra views because G-Man turned up. But like, and we'd have a massive squabble until somebody started blocking somebody in the chat, in the hangout, and then they couldn't hear them. And the whole thing became a complete waste of time.
Simon, you mean when G-Man started blocking people in the chat?
Yeah. I mean, there were some classic examples as well, right? G-Man blocked Gus, our beloved Gus, in one, and then Gus blocked G-Man, and then they decided they wanted to talk to each other, but couldn't unblock each other in that, so they then decided to start a new hangout, right? A new hangout, so they could talk to each other, within which they blocked each other again. Oh, just fantastic. That's all.
Yeah, they couldn't actually pull each other into the new hangout because they were blocked.
Yeah, just crazy. So many things like that happened, but like that was a great platform for me. It was for maybe 2 years or something like that. That it was great fun to go in and just sit in those hangouts and have chats for hours and hours and hours. Nadia streamed 24/7. You could have 8-hour hangouts. She'd stream 24/7. People would just be on a rotation and roll up, and that was all great until one day presuppositionalists ruled it, or presuppositional apologetics reared its ugly head, and people had,
as it always
a lot
did,
of fun
from
with
time
that.
to time.
Yep, and people had a lot of fun with that. Can you guys just talk about that for a little while, about the difference that made to the community and how that started breaking things up?
I mean, I feel bad for Jesus. He's like, why didn't I ever think of that?
Yeah, well, there was the presuppositionalists, the Calvinist crew. A lot of them were sola scriptura, pure scripture. If it's in the Bible, then it's true, and it's literally true. And a lot of fun was had by all. In fact, theists and atheists alike took to chewing on some of these Calvinists because some of the things that they were clinging to was absolutely demonstrably wrong, both from a theistic and an atheistic perspective, and it was good times for a while. But then some people decided that the fishing was so good they would actually fish the well dry.
That's a very good phrase right there.
Yeah, they did. They went in hard, and it got to the point whereby you couldn't have these debates for a while because there weren't any theists out there that were willing to talk to anybody, because they really didn't want to be served with parsley and a twist of lemon.
Yeah, I think some of it came over from Pow Talk, of course, and I'm talking about the DD guy who had a terrible version of presuppositionalism, very much in the Site and Bruggencate mold, and over from Pow Talk followed a lot of these guys that just wanted to beat up on theists and didn't really care about having the debate.
Can we cycle back to Site 10 in a second when you finish?
Yeah, please do. Yeah, go ahead.
Site 10 Bruggencate. And then you had the animation reaction, the parody of Site N, which I hope they are still available.
They are. Site N Atheist, is that what you mean?
Site N Atheist, yes.
Yeah.
If you can put that link into the
I'm on it
for people to go and
good.
check that out. I mean, when he started his operatic series, I nearly died, figuratively and literally, from laughter. And that's only because I was post-surgical at the time. G-Man, the opera, for example. Yes, no one actually hit the presuppositionalists quite as hard as Site N did. Site N Atheist, that is. Site N Bruggencate, now that man was special.
Yeah. And kind of defining in some way as well, because he had a terrible version of presuppositionalism. He was a Greg Bunsen wannabe, as opposed to a Plantinga, both of which are terrible. But at least one has some kind of decency there. But the thing about Site 10 is he was debated by Matt Dillahunty, of course, who really did an excellent job demolishing it for once and for all. And that's when everything changed after that debate with the presups, because people then just went, oh, okay, there's no point if they come on with terrible presup arguments, then like literally we know the tricks now, we've seen it now.
Yeah, it was formulaic after that.
Yeah, and therefore, yeah, maybe that's when things started getting a bit more personal with them. And I think that was right at the end of G+. And as G+ closed down, I felt that there was a split in the community, that the theists lost touch with the atheists, because we didn't have someone bringing us together into the same rooms anymore. You used to have to go to their channel, and that's a very different experience, right? And some people took advantage of that. Go ahead.
Yeah, there was actually a reason, a very good reason for that. I mean, you bear in mind that, we're talking about social media, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, Blog TV, it's all social media, and it's ways of following and keeping in touch with people through these various platforms. But one of the side effects of people meeting people is you get relationships that form. And one of the things that happened was the places where people went to congregate in addition to G Plus itself winding down, but the places that people used to go and hang out to started disappearing because people were busy working on relationships that had formed. I mean, the Friday Fail stopped, and I disappeared because Exiled and I got married and we had our stuff to do. Shani and Mouty, they got married, and things changed in their dynamics.
Oh, can I just interrupt there quickly, just to shout out Shani, because of course she was a major part in growing the community in terms of she had, I can't remember what platform it was on, but she
was on
Facebook.
Facebook. Was Facebook?
Was it Facebook? And that was a massive atheist channel, wasn't it? It's 250,000 people or something like that.
Something like that.
So
but
I think
dwarfed a lot of the people that were having a problem and having beef with her over here on YouTube and G Plus.
Yeah, absolutely. But like without her, I don't think the community would have grown quite the way that it did here. Because I think a lot of people, like, that was advertising for our little community. Bearing in mind there were a lot of great debate communities around.
Absolutely,
So, and again, this is like in the days, I guess, just after the A plus of controversy, right?
And
which our community distanced itself
I forget the name of it, but there was a Bible-centered, study group-centered collective, for want of a better term, that Chris Mouty was involved in. I can never remember what it was called.
The NCG.
Yeah,
that's the one. Yes, thank you.
New Covenant Group, I think.
New Covenant.
Yeah, now it's basically a Trump party thing. It's hilarious.
Oh, have they gone full on Trump?
Oh yeah, fuck me, yeah. Gee.
Oh really?
Man.
Oh yeah. It's amazing.
I think I'm still subbed, but I've just never watched it, so I have no idea.
That's so late. They make live video. I mean, you can catch up later on, but usually they make live videos, I think, on weekends and on Wednesday. I don't know, but that's so late for me. I just couldn't be bothered to watch live. So yeah. But it's,
and to be honest, I've never watched one since Chris left. So.
You should. I mean, really, man, you should.
Yeah, no, I can't. But he had a good. He had Side 10 on his show, didn't they?
Yeah,
and his response was quite good. He started getting all like butthurt with him and started getting all literary on him. It was lovely. Yeah. Anyway,
so Simos.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
So I'm a little. I'm unaware of the Great Debate community. How does that interface with, I hate to say a dirty word, like non sequitur? Was that part of it?
Well, interestingly enough.
Holy shit.
What is the history here?
There is a story there. So that person that was part of non sequitur was also part of our little community. He came in 2016, maybe late 2015, somewhere around there. And he had a tiny channel. People basically ignored him because we kind of realized straight off that he was a bit of a bullshitter. But nonetheless, everybody was welcome. So we put up with it. And then when G Plus closed down, he said, I'm going to take over setting up a G Plus page. So everybody sub to that. And because I want to keep the community together, it'll be an open community. It'll be under the same lines, just a way that we can all keep together. So everybody, like you said, oh, that's a good idea. Somebody needs to do that, of course, because otherwise we'll lose touch with the theists, and then we won't be able to have these debates.
Sorry, just one thing. That was way before G Plus closed down, because that happened. What you're describing happened while G Plus was on.
Okay, I should say something. I should qualify then. When I say G Plus closed down, I mean the G Plus Hangouts closed down.
Yeah.
G Plus was still going. You could still get the page and stuff.
No, but
it was maybe a year before, right? Not even that. 6 months, 8 months, something like that. So people sub to his page, his G Plus page, and in an effort to try and keep together, he made some prominent members of our community admins on that page, of course, and then started running Hangouts, right? On his channel, of course, his YouTube channel, and then it all became let's just only have people in that I agree with on my channel, because it's my channel, even though I'm calling it the Great Debate Community, which he wanted other people who had that channel already to change their name for. And then once he did that, he literally got the theists in, got some atheists in, and then completely dominated, told all of the theists that they were wrong. He debated them personally, pissed them all off, so they never came back. Then it was just left with him, an agnostic, and the atheists. Then he debated them and pissed all of them off. So then they all fucked off, and then we all realised what a twat he is. So,
Simon, what you really have to do first, though, before you get to any of this kind of debating, is we have to first define what atheism is.
So, okay, that was the long explanation. Just
right. That was the big one.
Okay, let me give you the pointers here. Okay, so that guy had a brilliant business plan. That was his business plan.
Yeah.
Hang on, I hope you're sitting down. So the business plan is, I'm setting up a channel where people come in and provide content, and I'm the owner of the channel, and I'm making money out of the channel. Which is an interesting tie, to what we were talking about before. How do you grow a channel? So you can grow a channel, by your own effort, or you can try and find a bunch of suckers who do the job for you. That was his business plan. And you can imagine that, well, I mean, it's true that the mother of the imbecile, she's always pregnant, but you get to a certain point that people, they say, hold on a second, that's like bullshit. No. That is bullshit. So this is where the first big protest, started from.
Yeah, basically he posted on his G Plus page, didn't he? Look, everybody post their comments. Everybody post their content here, and I'll upload it to my Great Debate Community channel, so it can all be done under the rubric of the Great Debate. So, that was one of the things. Go ahead.
Is there a remnant? I mean, is there still a Great Debate channel or community that, like if I wanted to basically talk about naturalism, is there a place to do that? I mean, is there any current form of this stuff that has survived today?
No. Thank God that kind of crashed and burned. I mean, there is. It's worse than Hiroshima after the nuclear bomb dropped. That is ashes, okay? And thank God there is ashes. It's ashes. So that is gone.
But when it comes to the debate itself, you're kind of in the fertile soil right now.
Yeah.
Everybody here has been in the community for some time, quite possibly. I mean,
longer than I. Yeah.
Of 10 years at least, and some more like 15. So that's been around. But the problem being, like I said, was because Steve decided to get super angry with the theists because they're all idiots, because they don't understand his point of view,
and
possessive of the community, but angry mainly in these debates, and start banning them and kicking them and all this kind of bullshit. They decided they didn't want to come back, and en masse, all the theists got together and said, we're not going to that channel anymore. Now, I don't know about you, but if half of your debate side decide they're not coming to your channel, you don't have a debate. You don't have a debate channel anymore.
Well, effectively, you lose the debate, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, whatever. It was never about winning in my estimation, but
but I'm just talking about
on the internet.
And because of the way YouTube have it, losing touch with those people meant losing touch with everybody that made the debate great. So, that man literally killed the Great Debate. Not that the end of G Plus wasn't the death of that debate community anyway, but it certainly didn't help that the person that was supposed to be carrying the torch on decided to self-destruct and try and gain as many views and as much money for himself as possible.
Yeah.
So this goes back
Thomas,
to
what- Sorry,
that non sequitur show. It goes back to how I got into YouTube because I really wanted to talk to people about the subjects I was seeing there at one
You
point.
said a forbidden word.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Fucking doesn't matter.
Okay.
And I became a $100 a month Patreon for that channel, and then one time in the back room something happened with certain individual where he
Oh, yeah.
revealed something about himself, and I went back to I disconnected from it and never went back because I was morally opposed to how he was acting. Basically,
I hope you
So-
didn't spend.
Okay,
too
listen,
many
man. You know,
months-
let me tell you, you got out relatively scot-free because, and I will not make any names, there's some people which went through a divorce. So I'm just
Yeah.
leaving it
yeah,
there.
I know. Yeah,
Okay, so yeah, count your blessings,
Yeah.
man.
There were plenty
Yeah.
of people that he made. Like there were plenty of prominent people in our community, which he swore would have control over those pages and that channel. And of course, the first thing he did was try and monetize it himself and try and take all the glory. And that really became very toxic behavior. And also, the way he did it was to start trying to isolate people. Right. So it was very manipulative. He would block people that disagreed with him.
Became
Right.
very
So if you
tribal
turned
as
around
well.
and said, I really disagree with the way this channel's been run. I want to make a protest. I think so and so should come back. You shouldn't be able to get rid of people that disagree with you, that make videos about you, because that's what the Great Debate community is about, right? And there were many people that he decided to ban.
He really doesn't like it when you make videos about it.
Who cares, right? Who cares now? Now it's all in the past. But it's explaining to Mike, this is why that non sequitur really was avoided, shall we say, and why it was already dead before he started that particular channel. And when you look
Yeah,
at
I
his
ran-
performances on it, you understand why, because he is a bully in debates.
Yeah.
But anyway, there
I
you go.
ran I ran
He's a
away
bully and he has
pinching my-
really terrible camera presence.
Yeah, that as well. Yeah. Anyway,
I ran away while
sorry,
pinching my nose. Anyway,
Before we go on, can I just ask anybody to make 10 seconds of silence because the channel died?
Oh, I haven't fucking heard that for a long time. Have some respect, Sharon.
Yeah.
Oh, love
So-
it. Anyway, look, that was just the late drama of the thing,
Yeah.
and a lot came out of it, right? That little period of G+ was quite fertile because that's when the debate was really happening, Mike. That's when you could just join a hangout. You'd find 3, 4 theists, 4 atheists, and there was at least. I mean, it usually ended up shouting because someone like fucking, I don't know, Mr. Batman or Brett Keane came in or someone like that
Oh.
was just there to fucking shout at atheists and tell us that we're all immoral,
Brett Keane was a
donkey
star.
fuckers and all the rest of it.
Simons, what was the name of that guy in England, which he was kind of a pastor, but he had videos of him on the streets, preaching.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the little roundy guy.
yeah, I know who you mean.
In Manchester, yeah. Paul, someone was it? No, it wasn't Paul.
I can't remember. Jeez.
He used
Good
to
times.
he used to say some fucking stupid things.
Oh yeah, geez.
Yeah, he's the guy. Just as a reminder, he's the guy that got his mum to come in and say Sam Harris is on the phone, and he went, "Tell him I can't talk to him now."
Jason Burns,
There we go.
That's it.
the man who could not use a comma.
That was fantastic.
Jason
Fantastic.
Burns.
Fantastic.
Oh, classic, absolute classics.
And then,
Every
and then,
title that man put up on a video was something with Jason Burns, and there should always be a comma there. So if you read it without the comma, it's donkey porn with Jason Burns.
yeah, and then, who can forget? Well.
Oh yeah, of course.
Oh yeah, good old Rag Campbell.
Yeah,
Rand
good old
Campbell,
Rand
yeah,
Campbell.
yeah. There were quite a few characters there anyway,
Yeah,
and
there really
you know
were.
they
Good
weren't all
times.
as toxic, but just most of them were, of course.
Okay,
Yeah.
I mean, we had other toxic ones. I don't know if you remember the guy called R1, Fabio.
Listen, I'm gonna name one name right now, and
Go ahead.
so Matt Bell.
Oh,
God.
yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna warn everyone in the outside chat. Whatever you do not Google what happened to Matt Bell.
No, actually do. It's really funny. I mean, it's fantastic.
Thank you, Fabio. That's what I was setting up here. Don't do it. Get it? Don't. This is opposite day. Don't do that.
It's actually fantastic. I mean, it's one
yeah.
of the few.
There's about
It's
two
one.
articles on
It's
him.
one of the few times where you can actually see good police work and good international police work. So yeah, it's good.
It took some time, but they got it and they nailed it.
I think that there was a lovely meme, wasn't there, with Matt Bell's picture on saying, "I don't often debate the Kalam, but when I do, you can fuck off."
No, okay, so now that you mentioned that, I want to make. I mean, I don't want to chill the conversation, but I want to make a step back because you said when the presuppositionalists came in and blah 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 blah. So really briefly, to me, and I understand that might sound. I mean. I haven't got nothing against anybody, right? So let me preface that. But for me, that kind of environment really turned quite quickly, I would say in like 2 or 3 years, in one of the biggest disappointment of my life. I mean, there were some reasons. The first one was that the old conversation was a lot America-centric. So the vision of religion that was in that kind of debate was really, really, it was either Calvinist or I mean, people that honestly, I mean, they're not even the majority of the Christians in the world, but according to the conversation we had, on those panels, it seemed to be that there were more than Catholics, Muslims, and Buddhists, crammed together. So that was one thing. At the beginning, it was to me it was quite interesting, but then it turned out to be okay. Hold on a second. I mean, those people, they can't agree with each other, right? And now they want to tell me how I should interpret something that they cannot even agree with each other. So that was the first thing which really puzzled me. And the other thing is that it is true that there was a certain point where there was, I mean, we tried to have a conversation, even if the kind of toxic conversation that we later, saw with the presuppositionists were already there. There was a show that Alex Botten and help me out, Sam, was that other guy which emits some F1 things with us to
Vito.
No, Vito. Alex Botten and
the bass player guy.
Yeah. They had a show where they invited they had a show talking about Matt Bell. They had one saying the stupidest Christian in the world, and they invited Matt Bell, and it turned out to be a shouting match. And so there were topics even before the presuppositionalists where you could only listen to them 10 or 15 times. And then it was, wash, rinse, repeat, wash, rinse, repeat. I mean, you can only listen about the Kalam argument for so many times, or the tag, or the problem of evil. It all became very stale. And then when the presuppositionists came in, to me it was just the last drop. The word is fucked, right? I mean, there is no conversation about this topic. Everybody wants to shout, and there is no real conversation. So that's why I said that to me, it was more like a great disappointment rather than a debate.
Yeah. I mean, I also think, although that led to a great moment for me personally, and again, this is the moment that I kind of realized that I was going to stop like debating as such, was when I was in a hangout. I think it was, can't remember the guy's name, but I was in this guy's like hangout, and Matt Bell was in there, and I spent like maybe 40 minutes just trying to antagonize Matt Bell as much as I could, because I just wanted him to trigger him, right? So he's sitting there. It was a Christian hangout, right? So they were all Christians apart from me, and I'd just say, "Oh yeah, Matt Bell thinks X, Y, Z," and then I'd shut the fuck up, you know. And of course, you know, I was waiting for him to blow up.
They were like, heresy.
And he didn't blow up. And I was like, oh, okay. But I spent 40 minutes doing this, and I could tell I was getting to him a little bit because he'd be a little shorter on his replies every now and again, and this, that. And then into the hangout comes Darwin's dummy. What's his name? Dawkins.
Well, Darwin's deity or Darth Dawkins.
Yeah, whatever it is. Double dildo.
The man that can't get along with his own children. Yep.
Yeah, amongst or anybody else by the sounds of it.
You mean the guy who got pwned by like an 8-year-old?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Raw
So anyway,
spaghetti. That's my
Eat
favorite.
raw spaghetti.
yeah. So anyway, he comes in, and I realized that I'd done God's work, God's own work, because Matt Bell turns around to him and goes, "Yeah, presuppositionalist isn't worth shit. It doesn't do anything. It's a complete waste of time." And those two started getting into a fight with each other, and I just sat back and just you could hear me like same thing I did in another hangout once. Just every now and again, I just opened my mic up and laughed, and that was enough. That was enough.
The Christian on Christian violence
totally
is for real.
that. Yeah.
It is for real though. Like it is like if you're a Catholic, you're not really a Christian, and they're like, "Rawr." If you're a progressive, you're not really a Christian. They're like, "Rawr." If you're a Calvinist and not a Calvinist, "Rawr." Like the Christian on Christian violence was wild.
Yeah, it really was, and I just was so happy. And the brilliant thing about it is that Darth got banned from the channel, a Christian channel. Darth got banned, which really like hurt him, obviously, because like he thinks he's Mr. Popular amongst the Christians and Mr. Smart. And Matt Bell just went, "Oh, for fuck's sake," and just left. And that just left me in the middle of it going, "Oh yeah, it's a beautiful day. I gotta go. Thanks, guys."
That's brilliant, honestly.
Matt Bell was an arrogant fuck though, really. I mean, come on.
It was a fucking child molester, so I'm glad he's gone.
Oh, was he? I did not know that.
Yeah, he served time, 9 years. He got 9 years.
Good
and the
riddance.
judge in Scotland said it was the worst fucking case he had ever sat through, with this horrific abuse that he was directing via proxy on Skype. It's disgusting.
By the way, 3 more years this July.
Okay,
Really?
three more years this July, but then he's also got 6 years of observation.
Yeah. But 3 more years from just this July is when I buy a billboard.
So he's still in.
Only 6? It seems like that should be the rest of his life, no matter what, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
no, he's got 6
Is he
years of
still in?
observation. But remember, he will not be allowed to use the internet or have a cell phone either. Yeah.
Is he still in?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I heard he got out. Actually, they gave him.
He should
Early
I
still
heard they
be in.
give him a different name. That's what I heard. They're going to protect him.
Oh, come
There
on.
should
How are
be
you
in
going to
every.
hide
He
that
should
cleft
be in
in his
every
forehead?
register going.
You can't hide that face. That's for sure.
Oh my god!
You know, speaking of people who have been in the slammer, is Kyle still in the slammer, or is he gotten out?
No, he's out. Yeah.
Wow.
Drugs doesn't get you too much usually unless you're a dealer.
I thought he was in there for assault.
No, he got like a misdemeanor. It was slapping. I did see the video. Steve
okay.
plastered the video of that all over. It is a bit disturbing. There's this conversation he's smacking him, but like it is assault. It's not the worst, but I'm not gonna defend it either. It's disgusting. So yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
It reminds me of
He probably deserves to be in prison, but the system that we have doesn't protect victims. Got it.
No, it doesn't. And it is
Well,
hard
there's-
to get men who've been assaulted by other men or women. Women can assault. Look at Rev News. Women can assault too, and they don't take it very seriously.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
no, they
that's,
don't
people
take
are
that
laughing right now,
seriously.
but like it's serious. Like that's a
he
man
only
who's
wanted a
being
Bauhaus lab.
abused by his spouse. Like,
Yeah, he
yeah.
got beat to shit, and they looked at both of them, and he was the one covered in bruises, and they said, "Okay, that's right. Then we're taking Channy."
Yeah, well,
Good.
they tried to, obviously.
They had to
But
Well,
put
they
her
yeah,
had to get an
in the
ambulance to take Channy.
they
It's a
tried to.
cycle.
They couldn't fit her in the car.
They were like, "We can't fit her in the patrol car. You're gonna have to take her." And the paramedics like,
Yeah,
"That's not my job."
things have changed a
Oh,
bit.
can't make her
It
walk.
is kind of your
Yeah,
job,
and like
but whatever.
just to point this out, we had one example in the atheist community, didn't we, of somebody that had been caught with, child pictures, and they were just ostracized almost straight away as soon as it
Oh
came
yeah.
out. Yet the Christian community, Matt Bell was never ostracized, right? Even when it came out what he'd done.
Oh, it
Uh,
divided. It
the
divided in half. That's
other
not.
people,
Yeah,
other
it divided in
people,
half.
Yeah, there was a
other
schism.
people have also been caught with the same thing in that community and been prosecuted for it, and they're still fucking in the Christian community.
So I will say this: that the Calvinists will get rid of people over that, and so will like Faithful to God. Remember that guy? He'll get rid of people over that. But then Veckel
Oh my
and
God.
G-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's always schisming going on.
They're like, wait, well, the grace of God. Oh, shut up.
Yeah, and sometimes it'll
Yeah.
be along the lines of, well, by this, that, or the other scripture, then such and such can seek forgiveness and salvation, and then it'll be. But no, the sin is like transcends all of that, and then you've got another schism, and it's like,
Yeah.
If you
Here's
say
what-
you're sorry, Jesus will wash away your sins.
This is what G-Man said to me after Matt Bell. G-Man said, what Holy Spackle has done is worse than Matt Bell. And I said, are you saying that what I have
What
done
on
in my
earth
life
did you
is
do?
worse than being a child molester, worse than directing a assault on a child? And he's like, yes. And I said, why? And he said, because being part of the LGBTQ community is worse than child molestation. I wish I could make this up, but like,
They
he really did say
seriously
that.
fucking believe that though. Like
He believes it.
I have been told this so many fucking times that like the fact that I have had sex with a woman makes me worse than a child molester.
They're crazy.
As someone who has survived grooming, like fuck you.
Fuck you so hard. Like I was
Wow.
like so mad. I was like, I'm gonna just lose it on this guy. Like, but like it was on someone else's channel.
Okay. State of the Onion is Jewish. Fine.
I never knew that.
It's
Does that
got
make
layers.
sense?
There's
Doesn't
layers.
make sense to me. Yeah. Okay.
Is
Fair
it?
enough. I mean,
Okay.
also,
That's like
interestingly
saying
enough,
that-
interestingly enough, there was somebody else that used that tactic. He who shall not be named, of course, accused a dear friend of ours of that same sort of essay, when, of course, only to deflect from his own inadequacies, of course.
Of course.
So,
yeah.
unbelievably, that it spreads. That kind of attitude spreads. So it's
Well, it's all right
very,
if you're an
very
honourable
disturbing.
man.
Well, yeah, fucking, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fucking.
Yeah. Well, one thing I did appreciate, I want to mention some wins of like some good times I've seen like in the Great Debate community when
Yes,
things
please.
have gone well. One is there was a gentleman, I'm not going to mention his name, but people that have been around for a while know that he probably hit the magic age of 25, and he was a very thoughtful, intellectual atheist who was really good and calm at making, good arguments, really good looking young man. And he had a schizophrenic break. And one of the things I noticed about that is instead of mocking and making fun of him, the atheist community came around and said, we know how you really are. We want you to be well, and actually took care of him. And that sticks in my mind as a moment of a win for atheists, showing like how you can treat somebody well in a mental health crisis and not shield them from the nonsense they're saying, but also not add to throwing rocks at their head. And so like that to me is a moment of win where I saw
Thank you for
major
reminding.
kindness.
Yeah,
It's,
I mean,
it's
thank
also
you for
very-
reminding that, because now that you mentioned, I remember, how the whole thing developed and the final stages, of what happened, because it basically happened live, right? And yeah, no, you're right. I mean, I was pretty shocked by. I mean, there was some hints that something wasn't really going well, but yeah, I remember the collapse that happened on live on video, and that left me pretty shocked.
Yeah, it's sad. It was sad.
Yeah.
But the way that it was handled there were some people that were coming after him because they can't differentiate when to let off the gas and when not. But like I noticed that there were a lot of people in the community that had the emotional intelligence enough to go like, this guy's in trouble, let's help him out. And so like I've seen moments like that where atheists have really shined. And I'm still not an atheist. I believe in God, but like I'm just saying, like I've seen moments where across the aisle it is kind of humanism in action. And there's moments like that where I've appreciated it, because it can be such a nasty blood sport, and we have seen it get nasty. And so like there's times when people don't participate like that, and it's been nice. Also, Simos and I used to be completely on the opposite side of things quite a bit, and probably still are sometimes, but Simos and I have had some of the most humanizing conversations, back and forth, where it's just like real. And maybe it's not about debate, but there's a lot of heart between us, I think, where we come from, like, and that matters a lot. And I know that a lot of times, you're bringing up a logical argument and stuff, but we're human beings, and how we approach the world and experience the world is something also, and that is part of it. And so Simos has always been great for that sort of thing too, even though you are quite snarky. I've seen you in action, especially if it's a really bad person.
Yeah, I do my best.
You've both invested an awful lot over the years in each other and communicating with each other. So that, to me, is to be expected.
To be honest, right from the beginning, what I always respected was the theists that were prepared to engage in a civil dialogue, and like I never once ever got the impression that Speckle dodged any question that I put to her. If she didn't know the answer, she'd say, "I don't know," or if she had an answer which maybe she thought was more personal, she'd just say, "Oh, look, this is my personal opinions, so take it for what you like," but never dodged. And that made all the difference, because when you're dealing with people, it's certainly in the theist community, like some of the troll guys, of course, the first thing they would do is try and obfuscate, dodge, and use every play tactic they can to avoid the logical points you're making, and then start calling you immoral because you're making good points.
Yeah, they're setting a trap instead of having a conversation. Yeah.
And it goes both ways, right? I mean, I hate to bring this person up, but Rob Beasley, right now, Rob Beasley clearly driven to the state of insanity by people that he trusted, and those people he trusted were atheists.
They had him live streaming from the mental facility. They got him a phone, and he was literally live streaming as he blockaded the door, trying to keep them out. Of course, it opens the other way.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Well, I don't think that Beasley was driven insane. I think that was exploited. You're right, but it was it was already pretty mental, from the get go.
Beasley crossed the line when he had a minor on and was instructing the minor to do things that you do not instruct minors to do. I'll put it that way. And then that's when people that were in his country said, we need to call the authorities on him. He's got a minor in here, and he's talking about sexualized things with this kid, and on live. They were like, that's it. Wow. And so then the trolls were like, well, that's fair game. But I mean, he was completely mental. He was on a way different universe than what we were.
Yeah, and they literally physically abused him as well, right? I mean, remember those trolls used to go past his house, egg his house all the time. They'd phone up, they'd swat him, they'd send pizzas to him. They'd like one time they were outside his house, like banging on doors and stuff, and he phoned the police live on the stream. And of course, the first thing that they did, the police said, is, well, what's your address? What's your phone number? We'll send someone around. Live on stream, he just gave the details out because he didn't know any better.
Yeah.
Right. So they literally got him to dox himself. Right. And they all had a great laugh about it. Great fucking laugh about it, as if they'd really achieved something. And like for a while, when he wasn't quite that mad, it was quite fun to talk to him because he would say some silly things, of course.
Oh, there's a good wolf and there's a bad wolf, and you gotta feed. And I am enlightened, and you can be enlightened like me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think it was the white wolf and the black wolf.
Yeah, white wolf and black wolf. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we have
What-
we have
what-
Leslie. We have
Okay,
that
the
Leslie
two
guy
wolves-
running around doing that stuff now.
The two wolves is I don't remember like what First Nations tribe it is, but
It's not. It comes from Billy Graham.
does it?
No,
Yeah.
Billy Graham took it. It's not from Billy Graham.
Well,
I
I'm
think that he
sure
probably
wolves,
took it.
I'm sure there's something to do with Rome in being the first to decide that wolves were going to be the symbols. But nonetheless,
It has
I'm
nothing to
also
do with
going to
Rome.
say this. I'm
No,
also
it's
going to
my
say this.
fault. That's what.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying, Fabio.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's the person with the Italian accent. But nonetheless, well, I'm also going to say this, which is, things got so bad. I'll never forget this. Things got so bad that if any woman went into his hangout, the first thing he'd say is, "Can you show me your tits, please?"
Oh my god,
And-
he would do it to me. Who the
Yeah.
fuck does that to me?
Come
I'm
on,
like the
I
most
know.
like
No, it's
uninterested in
kids.
that shit.
Come on.
I know, and then I just have to mention this, and then as soon as Sugar heard that, she used to go in there all the time.
Sugar.
Oh my god.
Sugar.
I do kind of miss Sugar, but I have to confess I was quite mean to Sugar. I kind of feel guilty how mean I got with Sugar. But
Yeah,
I mean, she
well,
was shaking a baby on a stream. For goodness sake.
Come on. Just Spackle,
Yeah.
5 minutes. 5 minutes. Just give me 5 minutes.
I'm like,
Five
put down the baby.
five more minutes. Just
5 minutes.
I'll be 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
5 minutes. 5 minutes.
That's a reference
my
to
God.
that's a reference to a JD Kane Talking Shit Tuesday show, by the way.
Yeah, she just
Oh,
lost
my
her marbles and she had a crush on somebody and she wanted 5 minutes, so she
Sorry.
chased him down.
I need you just to rephrase that. She had a crush on somebody. To she had a crush on everybody.
Okay, I didn't want to name a bunch of names, but I have a list.
Yeah, please, just read it out. Anyway, that's all good. That's all good. It's all in the past.
R.I.P. Gus.
Yeah, I love you, Gus.
There was another chick which had a crush on everybody. I can't remember the name. But she was
Lyrical
from...
Orion.
Yeah.
Lyrical.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Lyrical. There's a Mormon influencer, an ex-Mormon that looks exactly like Lyrical Ryan, but it's not her. But I could show you
Oh
the
my
face,
goodness.
and they have the same face, that Mormon face. Mormon face
Good
is a real
times.
thing, guys. Look it up.
Your resting Mormon face.
There is
times.
Mormon
Good
face.
times.
It's like an expression because it's like they're taught. So my ex-wife is Mormon, and like they're taught like that they have to like basically always be like giving off the impression of like being happy and like being pleasant, and like they could never like look upset in public, basically.
Don't give up your sweetness.
The
You gotta
Duggars
keep
had that rule
sweet.
too. If you remember, the Duggars had that.
It's very similar to like how the Duggars, like it's that kind of look where it's just
Donnie
like,
and
oh my
Marie
God,
Osmond. Yeah.
it's like a smile but dead inside. Yeah, aren't Donnie and Marie? Aren't they Mormon?
Yep, they
Yep.
are. Look at their perfect
Okay.
teeth.
Yeah.
Okay, yep.
Always had
Mormons
that
have
big
perfect teeth. They'll
smile.
hop and
Always.
White
I
tint is
do
like
love Donnie. I do love Donnie though.
I think they
But
were
that's a story for another
pioneers
day.
in getting their teeth whitened. I think they might have set that whole thing off. Yeah.
So like I looked up this. I said, why do so many Mormons have such nice teeth? Because it's a thing, right? And like
Yeah,
the
tell us.
argument is because they don't do any caffeine, and they don't participate in things that like rot out your teeth. That's what they're saying. So I don't know if that's true or
Yeah,
not,
but
but it just
Mormons
seems like
also
so
don't have
many have nice
crooked
teeth.
teeth.
They might have crooked teeth, but they have nice teeth. That's the thing. But
Well,
Anyway,
they like. I mean, veneers will fix crooked teeth. They'll
yeah,
fix
they don't
stained teeth. They'll
smoke.
fix. Yeah.
They don't smoke. They don't chew. They don't drink caffeine. They don't drink coffee.
Okay.
No red wine.
That's true. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, the Duggars weren't Mormon, but they had the same rule that you had to appear that women had to appear happy all the time.
Is it just the women for them? I know for the Mormons, it's like all of them.
Yeah.
okay. Are you there, Serb?
I am, yeah.
Okay, excellent. Great debate community. You've had an interesting kind of role in some sense because you've played it purely for amusement rather than just your own entertainment, I guess. Well, I suppose that is your own entertainment, but you've kind of played off on different characters and sides, right?
Yeah.
So, and you've come up with arguments to try and, what's the word, troll them, maybe. Troll the theists and troll atheists, I guess. So, what was your experience? Have you got something that you could tell us about how you found the community, how you interacted?
Oh, I found the well, as far as G Plus goes, I found it out of sheer boredom. I had just been promoted to lieutenant, and I had to basically go sit in a lounge by myself all night. So I was just looking around and found them. But as far as the broader atheist community goes, I used to hang out on atheist forums, like Free Think and what's the other one? There's another big one. I used to hang out with Aaron Ra.
Oh yeah,
back in the day before he got kind of famous.
Or at least popular, right?
He's famous.
But my whole thing's always been, I like to see how people think, and I like to make people think different. So I'll come up with arguments against any position. And when someone takes those arguments really poorly, I also get entertainment because I like to make them make noises.
Right. Of course, I mean, just as a mention for your fame here, you were somebody that was a participant in the longest OP on G Plus, right? That you could get. Do you remember that?
Oh, you mean that one troll post? Is that what you're?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think you started it, so you could have a maximum. How many? Do you know how many posts it was you could have on one? Is it 500 or something?
I don't remember what the max was, but I do remember I hit the max.
Yeah. So you started in that person's who shall remain nameless's G Plus page. You did you did a question like a poll, didn't you?
Yeah,
and it was. Can you remember what the answers were to it, or the questions?
I wish I had my PC that has all. I saved all that stuff. I don't have it here.
Right.
It was 3 options, and it was something about being atheist and stupid, and being theist and retarded, and then being the most intelligent people in the room, agnostic.
You can imagine how that went down on that particular post. And everybody, and then you started just arguing with everybody that posted something, right? So
yeah, I argued with everyone.
Yeah, it was absolutely fucking hilarious. 500 OPs later, it got to the end of the thing, and everybody went, "Oh, can't put any more on there." Anyway, yes.
I think it's 500 because we hit that post with the Volkswagen post, which turned into Sugar versus Annabelle. I don't know if you remember that train crash, but we were talking about, I don't know, Volkswagen or something, and Annabelle chimed in, and then all of a sudden, like, somebody like swung in to attack Annabelle, and Annabelle's like, roar, and then you don't attack Annabelle and live, and then And then like Sugar thought it was an opportunity as Annabelle's like fighting multiple people to jump in and attack Annabelle and go, Annabelle did XYZ because of my man. And then they were like, you know what, Sugar? Let's attack you. And anyway, it turned into like 500 posts. And I remember going, oh my God, this is the weirdest random drama I've seen.
Yeah, well, my one long post was the beginning of a 6-month troll campaign to make people hate Steve as much as I did.
Oh, brilliant.
Oh,
And
I may have had some experience with that.
well, I've just got to add one extra thing.
That
to
would have been
Sab.
easy.
I was going to say, it worked, right?
I've got to add one extra thing to that, Sab, which of course you created a persona for which Steve fell in love with.
A lot of people fell in
not only
love
were
with
you trolling him with several names and several accounts, but you also were backing him up with another one.
Yeah, he loved my other account. We were best
Brilliant.
friends.
What was the name of that account?
I know which the
It
name was.
was Cannibal Fresh.
That's the one. Cannibal
The one
Fresh.
that wigged me out, I was like, ugh.
Yeah,
This is a cannibal. He's asking for permission to eat you.
And that's the one Steve fell in love with. Oh, brilliant.
I couldn't believe how many. This was at the point where people still like Steve, or at least put up with Steve.
Put up with him, yeah.
Yeah, and he like there was like 3 or 4 people I really liked, and he was just an awful person too. So I'm done. So I was just done with this. I knew Steve wasn't able to keep his mouth shut. So every time the argument he'd like to have, between agnostics and atheists, would die down in his community, I would just start it again.
You just chum the water.
Yeah, I would just make sure that argument never stopped, and Steve was always angry at everybody.
Yeah, and it worked. It really worked because eventually he managed to get a pre-peer reviewed paper published.
Yeah,
remember that?
Yeah. Well,
he said,
I
I've got a paper
I wrote
published.
one. I wrote one in response.
Oh right, yeah, of course. So he said, "Oh yeah, no, I've got a paper published," and we went, "Published? What are you talking about? Like you posted it online, right?" And he went, "No. It's I've talked to people about it, and they've said it's really good." And we went, "Yeah, talking to people though. Yeah, but it's not peer reviewed though." And he went, "No, it's pre-peer reviewed. Pre-peer reviewed." Brilliant.
Yeah, but Simus, I talked to PhDs.
Yeah, that was it as well.
Oh my God. That's what's amazing is how much he would try to like glean up towards like PhD holders and act like it rubbed off on him and it gave him like street cred, yeah.
Even when they were complete idiots, right? Like that. He started
Landon said,
buttering
well, I
up,
don't care what Landon said.
Yeah, well, there you go. And Landon would just disagree with him on stream anyway.
Yeah.
So, anyway, there you go. Fucking brilliant.
How would you think it would go if I went into one of his rooms with my doctor actually in front of my name?
I think he'd fawn over you if you could sell it.
Yeah. Depending. It depends on how much you're going to disagree with him. If you agreed with him, he'd be like, "Oh, you're the best thing in sliced bread." But anyway, there you go. There you go.
I never knew you went to nuke school.
Yeah.
No, not nuke school.
Oh,
You'll have to join his MAGA crusade. That's his latest.
Yep, that's what I was gonna say.
Please no.
He's like, let me tell you how the transgender people are ruining America and the Mexicans.
It's just such a weird 180. That
He was always kind of shitty, but he wasn't this bad.
But he used to claim that Diana loved him, right?
Yeah. He used to claim that. She seems kind of indifferent to him, but yeah. Or Nadia. He'd be like, Nadia, I started in the trans community with Nadia.
Diana was
Even
like,
Nadia's
well,
had
he's
enough
always
of
been
him.
nice
Nadia's
to me,
like,
whatever.
That's enough.
Diana was very much indifferent. I remember talking to her about it a couple times. She's like, I mean, he's always nice to me. I don't know if he has a crush on me or what, but
Simon, I just want to point something out here. We do realize that we're talking about a guy who's the highlight of the peak of his life was leaving the Navy, becoming a manager of a Radio Shack. And when Radio Shack closed, he's now on a roller coaster.
By the way, I also was a manager at a Radio Shack, and I outsold him by triple.
By the way, the guy in my avatar at the moment is also named Steve McRae, which is why I keep going back to this picture every time that we bring him up. Because if you Google Steve McRae, this is the guy that comes up, and I love it. I fucking love it.
Oh,
Yeah,
the guy
also-
that's like
also bearing in mind that that Radio Shack went bankrupt 8 months after Steve started working for them.
Oh, also Radio Shack, because I work there, I know this. Radio Shack CEO lied and said that he had a college degree when he didn't, and he was a complete faker and ran the country, ran the whole company into the ground. And then when they caught up with him and realized he was completely a fake, they tried to replace him with somebody else that just could not save it. It was done.
And Steve was like, #goals.
Yeah, exactly.
Steve McRae, is that the guy that has an issue about what the word atheism means, and he's got an axe to grind with Matt Dillahunty and
Bingo, bingo.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
There we go.
Yes.
I got
yes,
thrown
yes.
into a live stream with him last minute on Skeptic Haven. They're like, we
Oh,
need
poor
somebody to
you.
go in with Steve McRae. And I'm like, who the hell is Steve McRae? And they're like, oh, you're gonna
You
love him.
poor thing.
And he just walked.
James, have you read Draper?
No, I have not.
Oh.
That's an in joke. Oh my god.
That's his
When we
favorite. Have you
heard-
read Draper?
When we heard James was doing that and he was walking into a debate on what does atheist mean, we were all laughing because he didn't have a clue what he was walking into.
Yeah, I had no
Good
idea.
luck with that.
Once I realized that the guy had serious unresolved issues, I just shut the hell up and let him have the show.
Yeah. Probably the best thing you could do, James, really, because he'll sink himself.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, anyway, look, that's
But he
just
has
some
a
of it.
paper on it. He has a
Yeah, he
paper on
does.
it, though.
He has a paper. It's pre-peer reviewed. So there you
That's
go.
right. Have you read his blog and how Katie Joy ruined his life and the Me Too movement?
Wow. Yeah, now of course that's yet more drama. There's too much tackle. There's too much drama there. There really is.
It could go
like,
on and on.
You know, yeah, really.
I think I know the answer to what is an atheist.
Oh, please, Brian.
An
Enlighten us.
adult human non-believer.
Okay, Brian, you need a billboard to put that on.
Pretty close.
Yeah, I thought it.
And
I
then
could've
watch
sworn-
yourself get canceled.
I could have sworn it.
I've been cancelled so many times, Headless. I don't think there's many firsts left.
I could have sworn it was Steve's monitor.
Does anyone talk to Ozzy anymore? Does anyone talk to Ozzy? I haven't seen him in a hot minute. I've talked to Bert.
No.
About once every 3 or 4 months, me and Ozzy have an email.
Okay, I haven't
Oh,
seen him
nice.
in ages.
I actually have well, as we're talking about he who shan't be named, I have a question. Was it him that actually killed the Ichthyism defense? The Ichthyism defense?
Oh, Steiser's favorite defense?
Because that was basically that was basically the argument that Mike and I threw into the ring that destroyed the whole theism, atheism, theism dichotomy, binary, call it what you will, and it's just sort of there was that
Listen,
whole "our baby's atheist" cyclic argument that went on that was seasonal and all of that. And for a while, we managed to break that binary. Was it?
I don't know if that's what argument you're referring to, but I can tell you for a fact that there are way more chances that Steiser kills an argument rather than Steve.
Axiom. There's an axiom.
Yeah, that's
An
true.
axiom.
That's true.
Oh,
That's true.
brilliant.
I should have
Steiser
started
was
from
funny.
base principles, shouldn't I? Thank you, Fabian.
Steiser will kill an argument because it would exhaust you. You know, at the end of it, say, okay, you know what, you're right. I don't care. You know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
He
there's
just
bigger
chases it down into the bush, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Steiser and I would always hit the reset button because like it would blow up at one point, and then we'd hit the reset button and go, let's try again, because it's a great debate and you don't just block somebody, you try. And so we'd start and we'd be really respectful, and then something would happen and he'd start yelling, and then I'd yell back, and then it was like, okay, well, that's done.
I thought Ozzy transcended and became a canoe. You might be right there, Speedy.
Yeah, I think he wishes, of course. He wishes.
Yeah. I know Snowwalker Prime has basically become a ghillie suited bush dweller.
Oh, Faith. I haven't seen Faith in forever. Hi, Faith. Hope you're doing well.
Also, I think Ozzy's term, of course, was lacktheist, and that's the one he was famous for bringing up. And like, I had a massive, I wouldn't say argument, I had a discussion with him about it, and like, you know, I was kind of saying, yeah, but what's the point here? You know, Ozzy, what's the point? Like, I understand you know what you're saying philosophically speaking, but that's a technical term, right? If we just use the philosophical definition of atheist, that's technical. And that has loads of constraints already on it, right? Whereas surely the way the general public use the term, that's unconstrained. There's no technical definitions involved. It's just, you know, do you think you are one or not? It's an opinion almost. And like when I said that to him, he said, "Oh yeah, but like X, Y, Z," and then gave me some anti-theist argument, right? And I went, "Oh yeah, but that's anti-theism." And he said, "Well, that's not how that's used anymore." And I said, "Well, fuck, who cares how it's used anymore? That's the way I use it."
The whole point of it was logically breaking the binary, because you had certain people that were using the theist, atheist, negation of theism argument so very badly. It was worse than stomach-churningly bad to watch. You lost IQ points if you tried to watch it. And it was an attempt to break that so that people would just stop using that as the get out of jail go-to argument. Shut up, theist, you're done.
Ozzy was the only person I remember of that during, you know, that period was actually the only one which tried to at least understand or not approach the old problem, not only from the point of view of you know, the Anglo-Saxon philosophy or whatever, you know, but he was also interested in, you know, in concepts more proprietary to continental philosophy, you know, German, you know, the being, the fact that the atheism is defined in a different way, and blah blah blah. So he was the only person I remember of which was genuinely interested in. Unfortunately, the whole conversation was mostly monopolized by a certain aspect of philosophy, you know, not all of it, you know, but, you know, some specific aspects of philosophy and philosophers. And also I have to add, there was this and this is something which is still right now, but the fact that when we talk about those topics and the matter of logic pops up, it's always Boolean logic. There is no other logic whatsoever. None of it, right? So you can't even begin, you know, to approach the argument from another point of view, right? Okay.
Yeah, but
let's
I mean,
use logic, but not that one. I mean, not fuck classical logic. Let's try to use something a little bit more.
Even within the Boolean framework, you've got either or, neither, both. Those are your options.
The problem with the classical logic, the Boolean logic, in that kind of argument is that, you know, you get to a point that either something is 1 or 0, it's true or false, you know, and that is the biggest issue, because humans do not work like that.
No, they don't. That's the whole point.
It's a very good tool to understand some phenomenon, you know, but the problem that I think it is, you know, when you're talking about these kind of topics, is that they are, as Aldous Sparkle said before, you know, you deal with human beings, and we usually deal in shades of gray. You know, when you find somebody say, "Oh yeah, I'm totally, absolutely, positively, 100%, million percent sure about this thing because I know it's true," and this is the moment to say, "Okay, yep, I'm just going to go to the toilet
Yeah.
for
And
about
then you've got
25 minutes, and I'm going to take a shit, and when
and
I
then
come
you've
back,
also and you've also got the phenomena, ambivalence, wherein the human brain can in fact hold two contradictory bits of information and consider them true at the same time. It's scientifically proven that that happens. That is a state people get into. And
Oh,
it
yeah,
happens
but, I
a
mean-
lot. It happens a lot when people are deconverting from religion.
Yeah, but
incidentally.
God forbid you start to approach that argument with that kind of framework, or even
Yeah, I know.
from a psychological point of view.
Yeah, but I mean, looking at it from the Boolean logic point of view, that's a situation of both.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
I get you.
So
You know, the
either
problem is
or,
that
both. The only
you
thing
use a
that's
tool which
left
is
is the neither. And
You use-
until you've actually arrived at a decision on that question, you're an either. End of story. Anyway, that's a totally different argument.
Well, kind of.
Yeah,
So, do you want to throw something in there?
I'm getting triggered so hard. First, he said continental philosophy, and as a true red-blooded American, my vision flashed with an image of Marx, and I just wanted to start fighting someone.
Yeah, man, you gotta deal with it. Yeah. Fucking man.
Secondly, how dare you wish people try to use like multi-value second-order logic? I rely on people not knowing that for me to run circles around them.
Yeah,
Okay.
man. I mean, I get you.
Case in point.
Listen, no, it's funny. You know, it's funny for the fight. I get you. You know, but you see, sometimes, and this is on a serious note. I know. I mean, Simons, I know for a fact because I found him a couple of times. But sometimes you find some really weird rooms. You used to find some really weird rooms in Google Hangouts where there were only like 2 or 3 people. They were not live, first of all. That was the first thing. And you could actually have conversation with people that you would have never have thought or never been possible if they were live.
True.
Isn't that weird when that happens? Like people like act differently. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think you still see that with Discord. Yeah.
What was the name of that guy, which was quite, smarmy? I think he used to live on a boat for some time.
Shamos.
Shamus.
Okay, Shamos was not exactly, the most, I'm going to say...
stable.
What you say?
Honest.
Stable.
Yeah, stable. Okay. No,
He
but
wasn't
yeah,
always honest either.
Mentally healthy.
and approachable. Okay, let me say approachable. It would be, kind of harsh. I remember a conversation in a room. It was me, Xbox, and Seamus. It was one of the best conversations I've ever had with somebody which believed in a God that I don't. It was insanely good. It wasn't live. It was probably drunk. I'll give you that. But yeah, I mean, those things happened.
Yeah.
There was a lot of shit to dig. Yeah.
So that's interesting as well, because there's a lot of it's a sad story about Shamos. Okay, because
Yeah, he fell apart.
after we finished on G Plus and YouTube, so to speak, a lot of people moved over to Discord, of course, including the Power Talkers.
Yeah.
And the Power Talkers really went for Shamos because he was still a theist, of course. Like they went for everybody, right? They went for all theists, and they went hard at them as well. And Shamos learned a lot. Undoubtedly, his argumentation became a lot better because it had to, because their standard of argumentation is a bit higher than the average, right? But I think we all learned something when they came in the community. But nonetheless, they like to use their philosophical chops, shall we say, as a weapon. Right? They're not concerned about the morality of it. They're not concerned about
but
being...
their morals are shit. Like their morals are on Steve McRae's level or worse.
Yeah, agreed. but they don't care, and they literally will use it as weapons, right? And so they did to Shamos. And after a year or maybe 2 years of this, Shamos genuinely had a mental breakdown. I mean, he genuinely lost his way completely. He
So-
said, "I'm an atheist," and then he just completely went off the rails. Took
So
him
he
another year
screamed
to
at
come
me
back.
and said he became an atheist because of me. He said that in a live yelling at me. And I was
I
like, what
remember
are you
that.
talking about?
Yeah.
And so in a private conversation, you know, those private conversations you speak of, we were having a conversation about faith and, you know, being challenged and stuff like that. And I said, you know, honestly, you know, because Shamos said something really cocky. I said, honestly, Shamos, you have a silver spoon in your mouth. If you took that silver spoon right out of your mouth, you might have a different attitude. And he says, and I quote, I decided to challenge myself based on what you said, and I failed. Basically, he failed in life and lost financially. And he says that it's my fault, and I was the start of him losing his faith because I challenged him to take the silver spoon out of his mouth. I kid you not. He's just cray. Like he was being like clobbered by pal talkers and logicked and kind of shamed. And this guy does not handle shame very well at all. He's very, and he's got women issues like crazy. Like he hates women.
Yeah, well, now he does, yeah, for sure. But yeah, like I said, you know, they drove him out of his mind, and drove him back round to being a theist again. By the way, so they at first
He's back a
dissuaded him
theist?
from it, and then he comes back and went, "Oh, I can't cope, so I'm going to go
Yeah.
start raving mad." Yeah, because he had to go off for AA, I guess, you know, became
Yeah.
alcoholic. So he
Yeah.
became a theist again. And funnily enough, all of those that didn't survive did the same thing. I don't know if you know, but Godless Girl also became a theist.
Nuh-uh. Not to troll, but for real.
For real, yeah. She had to go
Oh,
to AA and
interesting.
she had to accept the higher power, shall we say.
Oh, I thought she was trolling.
She's horrendous, but I don't know. Like when you, so I'm guessing I'm in the category of deconstructed Christian, sort of. The thing is there's a lot of atheist activists that really want to deconstruct and swing over theists over to you know, logical arguments and basically swim over to atheism or agnosticism. But they give very little structure on how to live life outside of this framework. And so what ends up happening is you could maybe encourage a theist to, and this is just a psychological, emotional standpoint, I guess. You can encourage a theist to deconstruct or completely abandon all faith, and then they have nothing to fill in the gaps, and they just go into like a spiral. And I'm not trying to be like, don't have, you know, the conversations with people or anything like that, but I'm saying if they don't have any structure, like a philosophy, even humanism, if you don't have a structure to kind of live your life when you are reliant on a structure, then that can be a problem for some people, and it is a real
For
thing.
sure.
Yeah.
And but then some of that really is, you know, the fault of you
The
know,
religion?
the theist community as well, because
Maybe.
like the number of times as atheists we've been told that we have no grounding for morals,
Yeah.
right? It's just off the fucking chart, right? And yet
Right.
none of us think atheism is a grounding for morals. Of course we don't. That
Yeah.
would be stupid from our perspective. And
If
yet
you're
that's
reaching
the
outside
that
of-
is- and yet
Yeah.
that's the accusation that has been told to us time and time and time again by
Yeah, but
theists
the
who just have
reality is
no
that
understanding.
your moral framework is built on a different set of foundations. That's all.
Exactly, and like that's my point, right? So
Yeah.
if you deconvert someone, right, or at least challenge them to release their faith in theism,
Yeah, you got to give them a new set
then
of
of course
foundations.
you've got to tell them
Yeah.
that there are such things as humanism or John
Mhm.
Stuart Mill. You should read some John Stuart Mill or whatever. Go ahead, Fabian.
Funnily enough, that kind of approach was mostly done, and again, I reiterate that, on live hangouts. Now, I think that the question we should be asking is why that happened in live hangouts. And my reply would be that unfortunately, a lot of people which were on those live hangouts were people that, I mean, they had no life basically. That
other than the wins they were getting on the internet. you mean?
Yes. So
Yeah.
this was, a show. Was it was the chance for them to prove to the world that they were really good at something marginal, and they could own somebody. Which
because they had the smarts.
Yeah, very true. And like also, to be honest, those
Yeah.
people, you can divide the atheist community. Like, I mean, it was always herding cats, right? But actually, there's those people that you wanted to use, like the power talkers, their philosophy as a kind
Yes.
of a weapon against
Yeah.
these people. And they, as Speckles said quite correctly, most of those turned out to be like anti-realists when it comes to morals, right?
Yeah.
They just don't think morals are a real thing.
Which is disgusting to me. Like I like that is like, so like they did anything but repel me from that. But you know what atheists got
But
to
no, I
me?
need to just finish the point there.
Okay.
And that's like, the philosophical position is fair enough. If to be an anti-realist, that could be quite, and you can still think that you ought to treat people correctly or virtuously, right? That's perfectly acceptable, right? But because they use their philosophy as a weapon, they also use their anti-realism as a weapon. That's
Yeah.
where the
And,
I
and
think
to
that they
defense their
fall in.
worst behavior.
That's
Yeah.
where I think they fall into the trap of this kind of like ignoring morality completely, and therefore showing that there's
Yeah.
a terrible side to atheism, right? That's why atheisms are going to rape animals in the street if given half a
Yeah.
chance.
The-
Go
I
ahead.
mean, it's
the
the same
atheists that
thing that
challenged
presuppositionists
me-
did. It's a tool to win conversations. That's it.
The atheists that challenged me the most were the ones that weren't like that. Like Ozzy was actually quite challenging for me, even though people saw him as a coddler of atheists. We've had conversations on and off air, and he had me stumped sometimes, and sometimes he was very disarming because as an atheist, he would understand why it's appealing for theists to believe certain ways and believe in certain things. Like he really understood why it's appealing and why we cleave on to certain ideas and stuff like that. And so he was a challenging person without being a dick about it. Or Bert Poole was another one, a very challenging person without being a dick about it. And same with Helena Handbasket. I really liked and respected her, and she
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
a dick about it. And these are people that allowed you to explore different ideas without necessarily being constantly feeling like I need to defend my existence, or I need to defend everything I believe in right now on like, instead of just like concept by concept or
Right.
Yeah, can I just
challenging your
say,
beliefs. Yeah.
can I just say, Helena Handbasket, another person to fall foul of the Pal Talkers.
Yeah.
She just got so pissed off with them. So in the end, they literally tired her out of the community. So
I really
very
liked her.
disappointed. Yeah,
Like if she's ever like watching in the wings, I really appreciated Helena.
yeah, me too. We read quite a few books together in various Discord things, as she to do a show on such and such a book, Bertrand Russell or Belgrami or whatever else, and I learned so much in those hangouts, just reading through these books slowly and understanding, having the points explained to you as they were coming up. Very, very, very interesting. Anyway, yes, not forgotten. Anyway, there you go. Sorry, Brian, were you going to say something? I saw you on mute for a moment there. We were talking about using philosophy as a tool, a weapon almost.
If I was, it's gone.
No problem. No problem.
I got distracted by my vape, so my mind's wandered.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, no, I genuinely think that when the community split in G+, that was the worst thing for it, obviously. But I guess every community has its time, right?
Yeah. I think one of the worst things was Pal Talking entering, actually, because they were so vicious. But again, I mean, it's weird. You can raise like a logical argument, but if you also seem to be an awful person, Like it feels like a mute point when you're talking to theists who are looking for goodness and morality and things like that. And whether or not they're hypocrites or they fall short or they're absolute nonsense and it's a shield is a whole nother thing. But if you're looking for those features and you're engaging with an atheist who is like the worst that you can imagine, and exactly why you don't want to be an atheist, it's not going to go far. It's just going to turn into a bloodbath. But if the atheist is somebody that, and it's really difficult because I watched many fundamentalists just disrespect atheists who are the nicest people in the world, but if you are an atheist and you are a decent person and you can show that you live a decent life, not necessarily a perfectly Christian life or anything like that. I'm not asking for that sort of thing, but I mean, like, you do good things. You do good things for the world. You're a good person generally, you're going to have more of a pull and interest to maybe not the fundamentalists who don't. Fundamentalists to me are like the flip side of the worst of atheism that just is nom 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 nom, kind of stuff. But you might win a moderate, or you might win, like a Jimmy Stevens, somebody that's a Calvinist but sort of kind of on that more reasonable spectrum,
Yeah, well, he also turned into a bit of a funny guy, but nonetheless, but that's true of the atheists as well. I mean, remember that guy that went into Matt Slick's with the sole purpose of showing his daughter on doing porn?
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know how fucking
they
low
did
you
it
have to
again.
be.
They did it again recently. The same thing. They did it again. A new person.
Well, yeah, slightly different, I think. If it's the incident I'm thinking of, but nonetheless, someone had a chat with Matt Slick about that. But that wasn't showing pictures and stuff like it was, or trying to bait him into saying I'm the perfect Christian and everything in my life is perfect, and then trying to have this gotcha moment, which was disgusting.
I don't know how she feels about that, and I guess I want to bring the point out to this real quick. If you are a survivor of spiritual abuse and physical abuse from a fundamentalist parent, whether or not you still love your parent or not is really depends on the person. Whether or not it's your story to tell, that's one thing, but they're telling the story on behalf of her and then using it to bludgeon on behalf of her. And I don't know if she's really that happy about that. I wouldn't be happy about that. I have my spiritual abuse stories, and I don't think I would like that. But yeah,
of course. I mean, she has done interviews in private with them, with the Power Talkers, and also on the stream as well.
So maybe she's okay with it, but I
think she
wouldn't
is,
be okay with that.
I think she is, from what I've heard and seen. But maybe not everything. I don't know. So, but there you go. Like, just to say, it happens both sides, and you're absolutely right. Whoever said, I think it was you, Speckle. It was the Power Talkers that was the beginning of the end for a reasonable discussion. Although I think Matt Bell had also put the knife in a few times right under that, as well as G-Man's belligerence and Veckel's fucking obstinacy and Jungle Jargon's fucking idiocy.
Oh my gosh, Jungle Jargon, or what was the koala guy that talked about how he wanted to line up all the atheists and go pichu 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 pichu? I'm like, what the hell? Like, you see the machine gun noises.
We mentioned him earlier, Beasley.
Oh my gosh.
But there you go. I think that it was. I'm glad the time. I guess I'm glad it came to an end. One thing I'll say about it all, which maybe you guys can comment on, is how self-selecting the communities are on YouTube.
That's true.
Yeah, absolutely.
Better run.
Yeah, and I'd say anybody who wants to sort of get a good sort of satirical overall view of this this community that we call Great Debate. Yeah, you can't go wrong if you go and watch Side 10 Atheist. Kind of for me, it's kind of sums it up, the whole thing.
He even makes fun of the progressive and moderates.
Yeah, absolutely. Nobody was safe, and I think that was what made it so great, so good. That's my biases showing, obviously.
But like, people used to say, "Oh, yeah, you," like as an accusation, like, "Oh, you're just a narcissist." That's all that. Well, yeah, of course, we're
Yeah,
sitting
we all
on
are. That's
we're sitting on a channel, like
yeah,
broadcasting ourselves to as many people as possible. Of
exactly.
course, we are.
You need an element of that just to
Yeah.
have the cojones to be sat here, whether you're on camera or just behind an avatar.
Yeah, I honestly
mean,
wish I was more narcissistic. I could use the extra ambition.
There you
Although,
go.
it's just to say, some of us, or more than others, have at least some self-awareness of it, and can
Yeah, that's
maybe
true.
thing. And I think that's some of the downfall. People get excited by it, and they get like the adrenaline from it's like a
Disillusioned.
drug to them.
You,
The-
you,
I'm
you
gonna
know,
text you 10 times a day on how great you are, James.
Oh, I appreciate that. I was going to offer to pay you for that, but if you're going to do it for free, I'm in.
yeah.
there's a lot of deconstruction or progressive Christian, both that have conversations now that have been pushing against fundamentalism and MAGA particularly lately, and there are a lot of them are on TikTok. But a lot of them do talk about struggling getting away from certainty, because it is very comfortable, even if it's dumbed, like in the theology seems illogical. It's comfortable to be certain, and sometimes, like when you're really in the depths of more fundamental Christianity, you feel so certain that what you know is true, and that you have the answers, or at least you're tapped into the God that has the answers. And to shake up that certainty is very unnerving. And so that certainty is almost, I don't want to say addicting, but kind of, and it feeds into the ego in a way for a fundamentalist Christian, or even moderate,
Well,
whatever you want to. Yeah.
it sets up a certain pattern of dopamines and endorphins and all of that brain chemistry. Yeah, to that whole what's it and reward thing that it does.
Yeah.
And when you feed into those psychological certainties, just kind of setting up this feedback loop, because if you're in one of those communities that feeds into that energy, then yeah, it does. It just this becomes this whole thing, which is one of the reasons why, if you are deconstructing, then you really do need to be very careful, because if you completely unplug somebody from the foundations of their reality, then potentially you are giving somebody everything they need for a psychotic break.
Yeah. Well, that's why when I had
Especially,
go
go ahead, James. Sorry, James.
when I had discussions with my fundamentalist sister, I didn't argue against the existence of God, because what the hell do I know anyways? But instead, I encouraged her to go to channels like Randall Rouser or Reverend Ed Travers. Like,
I love Randall.
yeah. So, I'm just like, hey, you can still keep God, you can keep Jesus, but maybe you could keep like a nicer version. Maybe that'd be okay. And she was just as offended by that as if I had said anything else. Like, I did absolutely no damage control in that effort.
What I
But
try to do is show fundamental Christians that they're cherry picking. They don't realize it. They think they're not, and they think because they're taking a hard line on, like, no gays, or hard line on sex and marriage only, or whatever hard line they think they're walking, that they're super hardcore and extra Christian. But it's fascinating how much they will cherry pick the Bible. I think Matthew Paul Turner, who is a progressive Christian who's gay, it's a little bit to him, but he's an author, and he wrote a post recently which struck me kind of along the lines that you're saying, where he said it's interesting. It's much longer and more nuanced, but he basically says it's interesting how I'm watching Christians cherry pick the Bible to fit their American view, their evangelical particular American view, and then they will cherry pick to protect, I don't know, a civilly liable rapist, And they will cherry pick these views to defend the absolute indefensible compared to Christ. Like, Christ says you need to care for the least of these. And he mentions the people you throw in prison. He mentions the hungry. He mentions all these people that like MAGA's just super happy to clobber. And you decide to rip out those pages in the Bible, but you are okay with like, hey, in Leviticus it talks about stoning gays, and so like he's like, you are cherry picking the worst parts of the Bible, and then ignoring the best that Jesus does to challenge us, like the Great Samaritan and the least of these and stuff like that, where he challenges us to be good to the people that are difficult to be good to. And it's interesting because you're starting to see more deconstructed Christians and like evangelical Episcopalians, Methodists that are now speaking out again, because they usually don't speak out a whole lot because they don't tend to be political usually. And now they are being political because basically they feel like Christianity is being hijacked into this nationalistic thing.
Yeah. I mean, that's a recurring thing as well, right? The Christian, national socialism and Christian, and the Catholics especially.
Yeah, and then if you're the wrong kind of Christian, you get burnt at the stake.
Yeah. That's right. I can't remember what they called that. Inquisition or something?
Different things. Heresy. If they could call you a heretic, they could burn you, and so that could be because you're Catholic
heresy.
or Protestant.
Heresy was the main sin. If they could get you on some form of heresy.
I think Simon was referring to the Spanish Inquisition.
I was surprised nobody got the reference.
Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition.
Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition.
Yeah, there you go.
That's why nobody picked up on it.
Sorry.
He was expecting it.
I know. I didn't say it with enough gusto, I'm afraid.
But sometimes you can convince a fundamentalist and show them how they're cherry picking the Bible because they think they're not.
Well, cherry picking is the means by which we learn. When we're faced with certain things, certain situations as kids, the probability of what's likely to happen versus what isn't likely to happen, we figure out that with experimentation, and we learn, in this circumstance, I come out better off if I behave in this way, or in a different set of circumstances, my behavior may be the exact opposite. And we cherry pick which behaviors fit different situations, and we do that as a kid. And when we get older, that is the basis of our ethical framework or moral framework. So, yes, cherry picking is exactly how we do that. And when we're turning to scriptures to validate it, then yes, we're going to pick the scriptures that fall into the do's and don'ts that we have selected for ourselves as we're getting to that point.
So then they go, gay sex is icky. Let's stone them.
Yeah, let's make it go away. Let's see what the scripture prescribes for making something go away. Oh, that's right. Yes, stone it into a pile of mush and then it just gets buried under the stones. That's great. It's gone. You know?
Giving you another form of psychosis.
Life is cruel.
Giving you another form of psychosis, of course, which can be cognitive dissonance.
Absolutely. Yeah, cognitive dissonance. Another instance of both.
Yeah.
And then, you've got Ozzy's, was it laxtheism, where you're just so apathetic on a subject, you've got absolutely zero inclination to spend even a calorie of thought on it.
It's wild to me that I've always just been very existentially minded. Like I need meaning and I need like a purpose, and I just am kind of that way. And it could be the religion, or it could just be my personality. But there are people that are not that way, and I just think it's weird to be functioning in the world is just sort of I'm here and I'm gone.
I
Yeah.
actually have a little bit of fairly recent experience on that. As everybody on the panel here may be aware, well, maybe with the exception of James and Dave, and no, Minnow, I'm fairly certain you're aware. But my wife, exiled, passed away from breast cancer last April. And overnight, I literally went from a state of being where my purpose was clear, absolutely clear. And when she died, that entire rug got pulled from underneath me. And it's taken me over a year to figure out from the void of no purpose. I've managed to figure out how to want purpose again. It's a very nebulous journey that words are inadequate to describe. But yeah, there is a definite perspective change when there is literally no purpose to your consciousness, your being. And it is very difficult to find a foundation upon which to start building new purpose. I'm not sure if I'm making much sense at this point.
No,
I feel like I'm
you
rambling.
absolutely make sense.
Making a lot of sense, I think.
And
Yeah.
I guess what I'm trying to say is that it does, when you, because I've had an awful lot of time for introspection and retrospection and all sorts of spections, and people need to put a little bit more thought before saying things like, don't worry, it might never happen. Or, what is the worst that can happen? Sometimes it actually does happen.
Yeah.
And people who find themselves in that situation, that's taken a long way of getting there, and I apologize for kind of falling into a bit of an emotional well there, but it's still hard for me. But when you do fall into that foundationless void, whether it's through an experience such as I've had, or a result of being in a room such as this and slowly having the foundation of your ethical, moral, behavioral code dismantled in front of your eyes. It's kind of, if you are involved in that, then you do have, I think, you do have an ethical and moral responsibility to help reestablish a foundation. And I think one of the reasons why any efforts at consolidating a community around the great debate I think it's always doomed to failure because, quite frankly, there isn't enough compassion on either side for the other side's position to actually make sure that the destructions aren't total. And every time I find myself in that mindset, somebody comes along or a group of people come along and just completely blow my mind out of the water, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, yeah, humanity may stand a chance after all.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I mean, thanks for that, Brian.
And
I'm
I'm
a
out of
timely
words
reminder.
now.
That's a timely reminder of the fact that we're social creatures and we need each other, and we need the companionship as well as, and that's why I think that the divide, even between theists and atheists, and I don't know whether I've been able to demonstrate this or not. Sometimes I don't, as Speckle pointed out earlier. Is more about criticizing. The great debate for me is more about criticizing the ideas and not the person. And when you take it over that line, then you're crossing what is interesting to me and just being an asshole, really. And I'm not saying that I haven't done that, right? When somebody has given me ridiculous, like, when they're being ridiculously condescending to me, I'm perfectly willing to use my wit to, to score some social points
Oh
rather
yeah, I
than
mean that's
logical
just
points, right?
that's just the volley.
Yeah, so I'm not saying I'm not,
Yeah,
like
that's just
I'm
the
not
verbal volley.
beyond doing it or anything like that, or trying to hold myself up as some beacon. However, I will say this, that when I see somebody in pain, or I feel that they're pain, and the UCC guy, whatever his name was, I had a debate with him once, and I refused to bring up the stuff which was just embarrassing to him, because I didn't feel that that was part of the debate topic, right? What's the point in me just making someone embarrassed when they're trying to earnestly make points about their beliefs in the supernatural being? That doesn't
Yeah,
make any sense
it
to
just
me.
poisons the debate, and
And
yeah.
like, you couldn't, in the chat, it was nothing but, oh yeah, but this guy's masturbated to Jesus. And I'm like, yeah, I know that, but I'm not saying it because
Who hasn't?
it just doesn't. It
I have
doesn't
so many
progress.
questions, but yeah.
It just doesn't progress the argument, right? That was my point. And so, I think as funny as that was, there's just no point in doing it. And the number of people, that was the comments I got after that debate was, why didn't you bring up the masturbating to Jesus? That would have been hilarious.
Because lowest common denominator, that's
There you go.
that's where the interest is.
There you go.
That's,
So
Low hanging fruit. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
that's the
low-hanging fruit.
mukbang principle, I call it.
Yeah, that's
Mukbang.
very true.
Mukbang.
Very true. And we won't bring up that. Please says God purpose
yeah,
glory
dear God,
in
please,
himself.
let's not unsee that.
That's why he created the glory hole. Sandy with a hole. You've obviously seen a glory hole before, Sandy. Who's got the most social points? I have no idea. It certainly isn't Jesus. That feeling when you misinterpret the second coming.
That's fun. That's funny.
Thank you very much. So,
I had a point that I was gonna make, but then I got fucking sidetracked by masturbating to Jesus. Damn it!
That's very distracting.
I have a point to make real quick, and that's
I want to
saving
know what
people-
your questions were first, Spackle. Which when
Might
we learned
bring
that,
back
it's like,
what I was
have
thinking.
questions.
Go for it.
Yeah,
saving
go for
people
it.
from shame. That is an interesting concept. So, like, I have gotten, and I can't pretend that I'm better than this because I was a dragoon, and I've gotten into blood sports with Shannon for Christ, like the best of them. Like, and I could justify it and say, well, she's a child abuser, which is how I justified it, like bully the bully kind of thing, or bully, bully the bully is kind of my thing a little bit, and I can get sucked into it. And I can even morally try to justify it, even like, you know, I part of my war with Steve McRae was bullying the bully. It was like, okay, you're gonna abuse somebody and lie about somebody and do all this stuff to people. Well, I'm gonna like tell the truth about you. But there are moments where you feel well, I don't know about everybody, but there are moments when I felt compelled to hide somebody's shame. I don't know if that makes sense. Not hide the ball and prevent them from doing something terrible, but like I'll use an example. One time, and there's no shame in being gay, by the way, but in the realm of evangelical moderate to conservatism, there was one time where I was in a Nadia hangout and the Calvinists were all lined up and they were dragging this kid. He's 17 years old, almost 18. He was on the cusp of 18. And the kid is crying. Like, he is literally crying. He was on a Nadia Live and he was saying that he was going to end himself because he was gay and a Christian and he could not make the two things fit together. And because he couldn't, he knew he was going to go to hell. And he even thought, he was rationalizing in his head that, like, if I just ended myself, you know, then my dad wouldn't necessarily have to know about this. And I would just be able to maybe, if I'm lucky, go to heaven, because at least he, for some reason, was convinced that this would be like the one-way ticket to hell kind of thing. And what the Calvinists were doing, where they were around him saying, well, that's your sinful nature speaking, and they were compounding on shame. They were using it, and they're shaming him for having guilt, and they were shaming him for having suicidal ideation, and they were shaming him for thinking he's a homosexual and saying, no, you're absolutely not. You're just really confused. And I jumped in the middle of that, and that's when I came out, because I know what it's like to have such severe shame and from a religious standpoint. And that's how I ended up becoming one of the enemies of the Calvinist mafia, is because they would always return to the subject constantly with me now, like for years afterwards. But it was because, I don't know how to describe it. It was because, not that I felt like he should be ashamed, but like you could sense this vulnerability and you wanted to protect him from that. And so every so often I'll have an urge to do that, or I'll see somebody else protect somebody's vulnerability, like, you know, what you guys were describing, where you realize like somebody's an actual human being. This is not just pixels. This is an actual human being that's wrestling with a lot of stuff. And sometimes you feel the need to protect them. And I don't mean like somebody like Matt Bell, that's like absolute predator or somebody like that. But I mean people that, I'll use Faithful for God as an example. Sometimes Faithful for God, I go, really? Like, that's pretty, like, holy roller of you. But overall, Faithful to God is a nice person. You know, overall, he's a good person. And like, I wouldn't want to shame him for sport, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. And I think one of the other aspects that complicates that whole deal is that you get some channels are just that. They are themed channels, and everything on it is specifically curated to fit in with that channel, and bears absolutely nothing in common with the person behind it. And there are a lot of people, and I can remember this being a fairly common argument during the great debate before it went G+. You know, people would make a big deal out of it. It's like I've lost train of thought where I was going. Damn it.
You actually reminded me of where I was kind of going with my train of thought earlier when I got distracted. So if you don't mind, I'll go ahead and pick up.
Absolutely, pick up.
Sure. So I said earlier, and I think some of you guys thought, but I was saying, like, I'm a reluctant atheist in that, like, I was raised among believers and I've just never like found any like belief system that like is truly convincing to me. And I think it was earlier we were talking about like the sort of like sense of all knowing and like true like belief in I never had that, and I've always been like somewhat jealous of like this certainty that some of these Christians have. And I think that has been one of the things that has always kept me somewhat like compassionate towards other people on the opposite side of the debate, is like, how can I think of them as less? How can I shame them when like literally like they just have something that like in some ways I'm jealous of that certainty. I again still have not found a belief system that is something that is convincing to me that I truly believe in, but that doesn't mean that like I think they're bad people or less of a person because they have found one that is convincing to them, you know.
Makes sense to me.
And you've just reminded me of where I was going with that.
Perfect.
Yeah, yeah. People make a point out of the fact that this channel is an act. It's not me. It's the character that I play. And there's a whole bunch of people on YouTube with that sort of attitude, and as a result, one of the side consequences to that is that whole remember that there is a person behind the channel does get lost far too frequently, and that is because a lot of the time when you dismantle the channel may disappear, and you know, okay, fine, got dismantled, crumbled, cancelled into nothingness. But the person behind it, because it wasn't actually a true representation of themselves, it was just an act that they did, they bounce back with another channel, either doing the same thing or something slightly different with it. And yeah, I think the considered name for these types was troll, I believe, something like that. That may be a little too old school for some of the people.
It's called
watching.
lolcow watching now, okay?
Yes, and lolcow, that was another technical term that we had. But again, one forgets that there is actually a person behind that.
Yeah.
So yeah, when the person gets broken, yeah, yes, was it a real person or was it just a channel personality? Who knows?
Yeah, that's Spackle and I. One of the things that we bond over is a certain creator on this platform who is somewhat infamous for how freaking messy she is. And that's one thing that I always go back to is like there's so many like freaky hate watchers. Like I feel like it's contributing to like her poor mental health in a lot of cases.
Yeah, and then you feel like you have to let off the gas. You're like, this is too much if I'm participating, you know?
Yeah.
Yes, the feedback reinforcement loop.
Yeah.
Yeah, human psychology is a bitch, man. And I don't mean that in any gender critical way.
Okay. I think we're sort of running out. It's late here, so
isn't it?
I'm going to be shutting it down soon.
My brain's
all those that are here are welcome to stay on in the chat and carry on chatting, of course. Before we go around, I'd like to just go around to everybody anyway, and just maybe say a few shout outs to anybody that you miss, or anybody in that community that you wanted to shout out. That's fine. For me, I fondly remember so many people, but not obviously Christopher Mounty. Thank you so much for helping me out, as you have done over the years. But also Super Joker. I miss Super Joker. Just to point that out. And Brian, is there anything you wanted to say to finish up with, or either on the topic or anything you like?
Well, on the topic of people that I miss, obviously there's going to be exiled for going on for however long. But there's also people like Inventor Gorilla, Goxter, Opinionville. Not gone for the same reasons, but a channel that is sadly missed. What else? Vogta. Again, he's just sort of. I think he's just been absorbed by the fatherland for a bit. Oh, so many people.
Oh,
So
you're
many
reminding
people.
me of more Thor. Thor's hammer
Yep.
as well.
Thor.
I
Yes.
miss-
Evo
I miss
Gen.
Thor's hammer.
Artos?
Artos, yeah.
Artos. Yeah. Evo
Artos.
Gen.
Evo Gen, there you go.
Um,
Okay. And anything on the topic at all, or you just
why is the great debate great? I think it just there's no end to it. I mean, as soon as you
exactly.
think you've gotten to a point of yes, happy conclusion, I can run with that. It all starts up again, and there's just another layer to it that just gets plastered on. So yes, the great debate is great because it will never end, unfortunately.
Thank you, Brian. That's perfect. Headless, anything you'd like to say?
Yeah, one final word.
Oh, do you want to leave that? I'll leave you till last then. I know what that is.
No. I was just gonna say clunker pussy.
Okay, thank you. That's a word, is it? Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Minnow.
Anybody remembers that, they'll remember what was going on.
I'm trying to think of like specific names of channels that like I miss. Like obviously, Diana and Exile, they're like the ones that are coming to mind. But
oh yes, Jade as well.
Yeah.
Jade, yes, of course.
Yeah. As far as why is the great debate community great, I think you hit on it. It's one side is coming from a place of certainty and the other side is coming from a place of questioning everything.
James, for you, how have you found this like mystifying chat? Presumably, because most of us. Oh, Gus, Spooky says Gus. So yes, of course. Thank you, Spooky. And anybody else want to put people in the chat? Please do. James, over to you.
Right. So if for a long time, I did converted at age 41, so this is over a decade now. And so after that, I was mostly just one of the lurkers and chat participants or commenters. Like I wasn't a streamer at all. And 43 Alley is probably the channel that I missed the most. I don't know what happened to him. Technically, his channel still exists, but he doesn't make stuff. He took down all his old videos. I really miss 43 Alley. And Christina Rad. Christina Rad left the atheist community as a streamer, not because of how awful the Christians were, but for how awful the atheists were to her, even though she was an atheist. And that is really always, I've kept that with me all this time, because it just reminds me that, it's easy to feel like you're one big happy family when you're raging against some other machine. And it's easy to overlook all the toxic and just absolutely stupid problems in the atheist community. And we just gloss on past it like it's not a big deal when it really is. And so a lot of the people here are trying to find community within that ecosystem. And we end up having to kind of sect off into niches like in high school, right? You got your little cliques of people because it's the only safe way to be in that system, because there's just so much toxicity for people that don't think just the right way, right? And so there's so much divergence amongst atheists that there really isn't a whole lot of common ground that you can, like you said, it's like herding cats for that reason. And in a way, it's their strength and it's also their weakness because of how divided it means that they are to think so independently. So it's one of the reasons that I agree. I think was it Minnow that was saying that they kind of envy what Christians have, because there is this sense of family, this sense of connection and purpose and belonging that I haven't found at all in the atheist community. And maybe part of the problem is me, but I think it's bigger than that. So that's where I'm at about it.
Yeah, again, I just got to stress this. Like, you're never going to find it in an atheist community, because atheism is not a community.
Right.
The community is, of course, humanism. or at least some ethical foundation similar to it.
Right.
And like, as long as we keep deflecting from that and trying to say we're an atheist community,
Right.
then those Christians and those fundamentalists are going to keep throwing at us that we will be raping animals in the streets if it wasn't for the existence of God.
Oh, I
Because
agree.
we have no morals and we have nowhere to ground morals.
They always go for that, or
Right.
babies. Oh my god.
Yeah, or whatever. I don't know about you, but I haven't raped too many animals in the streets recently.
No,
I
good.
have raped and murdered exactly as many animals as I have ever wanted to, which is
There you
exactly
go.
0.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
It always disturbs me when they use as an example as like, if I
Yeah.
wasn't a Christian, I would murder someone. I'm like, really?
Yeah. Well, thank God you're
Yeah,
a Christian.
I
right?
do exactly as much murder and mayhem on a daily basis as I've always wanted to. It's great.
Nice. Yeah, good for you. Okay, thank you, James.
Yeah, yeah.
Appreciate that. If you want to, I haven't put your thing in your channel in the chat in
Oh,
the
it's fine.
description.
That's
But
fine.
if you want me to, please just put it in private chat and I'll copy it over.
Okay.
Over to you, Fabio. And let me just before you do that, I'm going to put up one of your Fabio Law. Okay, what have you got to say, Fabio?
Okay, first of all, that is your interpretation. That is not what I said. Even if talking to you, it makes me wonder, maybe that's what I should have said. But no, I mean, I don't know. It's been quite some time, and I mean, talking with you guys, thinking back to things which happened or we said, I was wondering if things would have gone differently if it wasn't called the Great Debate, but something more like the Great Conversation.
Yeah.
And then probably it would have made, one iota of difference because, I mean, people is people, and the vitriol, that was in some of those conversations. I don't think it was because of the topic, but because of the agents, having that conversation, which is a shame. It's a bummer, but again, as we saw this evening, you probably have to dig a lot of shit in your memory, but but there were some nice nuggets every now and then, so maybe not everything was a waste of time.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. Holy Speckle, please enlighten us from your position.
So, the way I interpret Fabio's law is that you just don't argue with idiots because they're idiots. That's the way I understood it, and he has a point, because otherwise it just is like a one-way show. But you just don't expect them to change their mind. Go, G-Man thought I had a good point, and he just changed his. He just decided to change that view. No, he doesn't. He's never going to. It's just silly. But people I miss Jade. Jade was a really great conversationalist behind the scenes, and Jade really cared about community and cared about atheists and theists actually having not lose sight of each other's humanity and to treat each other decently and stuff like that. She would be a very gluing kind of person for community, and I do miss her. I obviously miss Exiled. Exiled is, gosh, if you want to know somebody that loves somebody fiercely, that's that woman. She loves fiercely, and I definitely miss her. And then Gus and I spent a lot of time together, and that's how I got the nickname Holy Spackle. Gus was teasing me, and he was saying, "Look at you, smooth, 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 smooth. There's cracks in your theology. Smooth that over." And then he'd say, like, "Oh, people aren't getting along. There you come, smooth, 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 trying to get people to get along." And so that's how that phrase came, was actually from Gus Bellinger. He was the nickname, and I know I get all sorts of jokes because of that. Like now, like people go "Holy spooge," or some jizz joke, but but really it was just because of like the cracks in the wall and filling the space and stuff, and it came from Gus, and it was just kind of fun spirited stuff, not perverse. But I do miss Gus because he was such a. Now he would come in and knock heads, but he was really good at a lot of collection of information, and he was quite a wordsmith, and so he'll be missed. Sokka, I loved. I wish I saw him once in a while. I really liked him. I got to meet him in person when he visited, so that was pretty cool. I liked playing video games with him and stuff, and so I do miss Sokka quite a bit. So yeah, there's a lot of people I miss and appreciate. Helena, I appreciate it a lot. Bert, Pearl, I appreciate it a lot. Ozzy, I appreciate it a lot. And for Theus, Faithful to God was just incredibly likable. And there's a lot of theists I don't miss because I was always like one that was like always getting assaulted by them. But I'm trying to think. There's surely some other people that like I can think of. But usually for theists that I miss, they're not even in the Great Debate community. They were more like bloggers and stuff like that. Yeah, I think for me, like there are gold nuggets, as you say, if you're sifting for gold. And I appreciate those times where I've had like a real connection, or I've had a real challenge, or I haven't thought about it that way. I'll use an example of something that changed in me. So when I first came in the Great Debate community, I was very theology heavy, and my view of morality was kind of a bit of it was kind of a Christian, like Thomas Aquinas version of virtue ethics mixed with divine command theory. And you can quickly pull apart divine command theory and see how it can go awry really quickly. How suddenly good is good and bad is bad if God declares it either way. And it's like this arbitrary thing. And then the question is, do you interpret God right or wrong? And it becomes a big problem for a lot of people. And but I did not realize how many different structures of morality that you can actually build and live by. Virtue ethics being one, which I had a taste of, but I didn't know as much about it. And like that is a great way to try to get some framework on how to live life, other than consequentialism, which I think is one of the weakest forms of morality ever, versus other things. And so I think that, yeah, I did have some fruitful conversations that had changed my mind on things, but they were never like the brawls. They were always people that I felt like were generally good people, because I'm not going to be influenced by Jack Anstrike ever, like ever. But if I felt like somebody was a generally good person, that had an effect on whether or not I felt safe enough to explore different ideas. And I know that sounds like really holy roller judgment of me, but like there's just certain things I just would never participate in, no matter where I end up. But the thing that gets me to shift my ideas oftentimes is, show me who you are and how this works. Besides the idea, besides the logical argument, show me what this looks like in use. And that can shift my perspective. So virtue ethics is an example of, I could see how in use virtue ethics is incredibly helpful and no God needed. And so like that's just an example of like an idea of like that I've shifted on.
Okay, good. So it's been great for you because it's given you new perspectives, right? And that it's something that I think a lot of us can identify with there, which is certainly I completely identify with this, which is how much I've learned from other people in the community, which know more than I do by a long way, and how much time that they've given me in order to teach me. That's something that used to happen a lot in the early days. The number of hours I've spent talking to particular people, just learning from them, just learning about new ideas. Soccer taught me a lot about morality. Ozzy taught me a lot about good argumentation. Helena Handbasket taught me a lot about dualism and naturalism. So just to mention 3 names right off the bat. And
Yeah.
that they used to give that time willingly, even though they knew they were dealing with somebody who was taking their baby steps. So
Yeah.
I think that's pretty important right there. Thank you, James. Okay, over to you, Cerberus, for the last one to mention. Anything? Any like shout outs? And what did you think about the Great Debate community? What you miss? What, etc. Anything you want to say at all?
Oh man, there are so many people that I miss on like an interpersonal level that I would be here all day if I name them. I'll just say that
Right.
I have, at least on a couple of occasions, all of them told them that I miss them. Right, so I'm not going to name them. I'm going to name the thing I miss about the community. That is, we severely lack people that will have rooms where people from both sides actually feel comfortable coming in over and over and over again. Right,
True.
on friendly terms with the host, so they continue to do it. Because the way I deconvert people, I need that. Right. I go in, I play bad cop, and then I play good cop with whoever was chill with me being bad cop. That's how I work it. But
yeah,
yeah,
I mean, it used to be a common thing. As I say, we'd have someone like Nadia who had circles of theists and had circles of atheists, and knew the right way to get people into the room so we could have those discussions. At least until the Pal Talkers turned up, right?
Right, where was State of the Onion? Right, Xbox was one of those people.
Oh,
Yeah,
Fox in the Know?
Well, no, Xbox used to be.
No,
Xbox.
Deeper Than Dogma, I think was
Yeah.
Soccer and
Well, no,
Xbox.
even before that, Xbox would just have rooms.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, of course, yeah.
But
if it wasn't for Xbox, I wouldn't be here. By the way, just a big shout out to Xbox again. He is normally a host on this show, of course, but hasn't come in today. But yeah, if it wasn't for Xbox, I wouldn't be here. He reached out to me when I went into Nadia's the first time. I was about to leave, and he sent me a message just saying, "No, don't leave. Come over and talk to me." I did, and then I found out what the community was really about, and it wasn't people like Brett Keane.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I just sitting here, just remembered there was a huge chunk that we that we never mentioned at all, and that was the whole Skype and all those other real-time chat platforms that used to host multiple person calls and chat groups and things like that between
Yeah,
Blog
Skype.
TV and Google Live and YouTube Live and Hangouts and all of that as well. I've just sitting here, just suddenly remembered them all.
It's hard, of course, because they do have them still on things like Clubhouse, of course. But
Discord is still going. I'm sure
Discord
that
not
there's
so much. Discord not so much because it's a bit of a free for all there. You can get too many
Well,
people
yeah,
in the
that's
room.
true.
There's a lot of Nazis lately.
Yeah, tell me about it. But nonetheless,
Right.
so,
He's gone through a Sieg Heil, and all of a sudden, all the Nazis came out of the woodwork. What the fuck is up with that?
yeah.
You mean Twitter isn't enough?
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Truth Social isn't enough?
But nonetheless, before we go down another rabbit hole,
Yeah, that's
so
not.
yeah, so Serb, I mean, I think we did discuss why there aren't many theists around anymore, mainly because everybody that's a reasonable theist got pissed off with getting
Yeah.
their heads knocked against the wall
They
every
got
5
cold.
seconds. And that all that was left was the fundamentalists. So that they're no fun to talk to, because even if you knock their head against the wall, it doesn't just the wall breaks. That's the only difference.
And they love the mute button.
Yeah, that as well. Although I've been in a few chats recently, which has been quite interesting. Capturing Christianity's chat, and speaking of which, Apostate Prophet has turned into a Christian now. Don't they always? But nonetheless,
Capturing Christianity's the hipster-looking guy, right?
yeah, with the fake background, yeah. And he's doing it. He's grifting hard, I've got to say. Not that he doesn't believe that he's a proper Christian and all of that, but some of his topics seem a little grifty to me. Anyway, there you go. So it still goes on, I guess, like you said, Brian. Is there anything else you wanted to say, sir? Sorry.
I wanted to say why I think the Great Debate is great.
Oh, please, go ahead.
And it's not because it's so smart or anything. It's because it's like watching a game of t-ball. Everyone can hit the ball. No one can catch the ball.
Okay.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, clever.
Okay. Yeah, I when I play the game now, I just throw the ball out of bounds. So there you go. That's my idea of a win these days. But anyway, thank you very much, everybody. We're going to end it there. I've just got to say, when it comes to theist arguments, there's one sort of sure test. Atheist arguments and theist arguments. There's one sure test. And please, everybody, just remember this. Drink it in. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next week for a new topic, whenever that happens. And I will, of course, get it up and running early so you can all see what it is. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.